The following is a presentation of Stewed Productions.
As Jack said in A Few Good Men, you're gosh darn right we are. Or I am. Or something. It's paraphrasing. Huh?
You're paraphrasing.
Oh, you're not even turned up. There you go.
That's pretty normal.
Why are you not, am I not hearing you? Keep talking.
What?
Hello.
Did your mic come
And
on?
once again,
No?
Keep talking?
is there magic in the
Okay.
mic?
No, it's not okay because I can't hear you at all.
I can't hear myself. Oh, there we go.
What happened?
I can hear myself.
What?
Am I on?
Yeah, you're on.
All right, cool.
That was weird. We're about to have to...
It's magic.
I don't know what happened there.
I had air
Seriously.
gap in the electron flow.
I don't know.
Stuff happens.
Maybe that cable. Anyway, welcome to Liquid Lunch, everybody. It's Thursday. We are live at the Grain Cellar. The Grain Cellar. In the Cush corner that is the... this is where the magic happens, as they say on Cribs.
Right.
Preston, as he jumps up. Preston, first of all, thank you so much. He's got...
We've already got a question for Preston.
well, hold on. Let me set the stage before
All right.
we start launching and lobbing questions at Preston. So you see Preston with his magic wand that I have
He was
now.
talking later.
Yeah,
Earlier.
yes, I have to remember this is all pre-boil. It's fine. I really that all just went through my mind, but I didn't have time to articulate it. So the dumb look on my face was all of that came out with like ah.
Oh, Preston, if you want to put the connector in your pocket or something, that might help out.
He's
Is that a connector in your pocket?
Yeah,
Yeah, or you
just-
just happy to see me.
just be the channel your inner
you get that?
Alanis.
Yeah.
Channel
No,
your
I
inner
didn't.
Alanis Morissette.
no crotch shots.
And he's got
It's
one
still early.
connector in his pocket, and with the other one, he's brewing a beer. That was okay. Sorry. All right, so we're at the Grain Cellar today. We're brewing some beer. Bobby Harl. I haven't gotten any messages from Bobby. Assuming
I'm sure he's on his way.
he's en route, or route, whichever way. We'll see. Maybe let's see. Maybe some super big. No messages. So unless hopefully he didn't fall in the boiler or something.
All right.
It's magic?
Who knows?
So
Huh? Oh, so we're brewing a beer, and we're hanging out at
What-
the Grain Cellar.
Why
at
are we
Liquid
brewing a
Lunch.
beer, Josh?
Because today is National Brew a Beer on the Live Stream Day.
Live stream. Yes.
First annual Brew a Beer on the Live Stream Day. Live stream a brew day.
it's-
Josh Stewart Day.
Oh.
That's why.
it's
Meaning
a nice,
we would have never gotten out of bed if you.
Oh, guess who showed up?
nice name for a beer.
Yes.
What?
I don't think it would sell very well.
What's that? Oh wait.
You never know.
That it does too. I think it would. Yeah, because there's an actor named Josh Stewart.
Somebody's-
The guy on. Hey man.
Hey,
Bobby's
Bobby's here.
Bobby Harl, Dr. Bobby Harl
Put that in your
from
pocket.
Backpew Brewing, in the house.
We're going to mic him up real quick. Here.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let
yeah.
me bring
We're,
it.
we're being real professional now.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, I'll bring down Preston's mic
Every-
as well, so that
Everybody's got a
all-
nice. Everybody can see Bobby's ass.
nice.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah, I mean it worked. Look at him. All right, here we go. Now, you can get up. Hey man.
Hey.
Hello.
How are things? You can just sit back and relax and
Can I pour you a beer?
yeah.
No, thanks, guys. I still got a lot of stuff to do.
Go
So,
ahead. Keep
yeah.
your head in the game. All
So
right.
right.
and one of those
That's right, one
things
of
is
those
not
days.
drink beer starting at noon and throughout the rest
well,
of
it'd
the
be
day.
really fun, but that weird misconception about what brewers actually do.
I know, right?
So I'm building stuff right now. We have the canning line coming in soon, so I'm finishing up the compressed air system. So
No.
that's been a booger. Finally got the last fittings right before I left. So it was that. Oh, I can't get it done. But when you're that close to finishing a build, so
Yeah.
just the way it goes, though.
Now-
We're gonna have fun.
Now the real question that people are clamoring to know, if there were any pallets on that shipment with the stuff that came in, what are you going to do with them? People on Pinterest really want to. I don't know. I just assume there's pallets involved. I don't know.
I'm
giant
building more
crate.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been over there. I was there a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Got more pallets.
Yeah.
Yep, we generate lots of pallets.
Yeah.
Most of them suck, which is kind of unfortunate, but some are pretty good.
Okay. Pallets are big. Hashtag, pallet table.
People do love making stuff out of pallets.
Yeah, I tried once, and my wife and I, we tried to make a table. Ended up we just had a bonfire because that's all it was good
Yeah,
for.
they burn
makes a
well.
good
We found.
bonfire.
Yeah.
and you don't have to
Absolutely.
spend a whole lot of time to do it, so it's
No.
kind of nice. You just kind of light it on fire.
Yep. All right, enough pallet talk. Kennedy, what was the everybody? Kennedy's there. Warm it up, Kennedy.
Word.
All right, what was the question for Preston? You said right off the
Oh.
bat somebody had a Preston
Yes, I
Preston?
do.
Preston question.
A Preston
Yes,
question.
I do. Come get it.
Oh,
How's that?
how'd you know?
Are you? Am I live on the camera? No.
Yeah, you're right there. You're on it.
I mean, you're on the wide side.
As far as I
Can we take
understand.
Hold on.
Can we take some Preston Fool?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Sorry, I'm not on my normal setup.
Are you here? Can you hear it? See me now?
Yeah, somebody's already wanting to know if you have some left and how much is
And
left.
how much is this? This is $1.50. I'm basically charging you for the bottle and the cap and my sanitizer.
Was it yeast?
Yeah, it's the
Daisy Chain.
Daisy Chain. Yeah. Only place in Houston you can get it right here.
Nice. Exclusive.
Yeah, exclusive.
How much is left?
Well, unfortunately, I didn't get as much as I was hoping. I was hoping for a corny keg, basically, whole 5 gallons, and I ended up with a third of that. So,
Where'd you get it?
Southern Yankee.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Were they were first generation or second?
No, I
the
think they
Southern
were
Star starts,
third,
right?
and the 4th iteration starting now. So.
I don't know when they got it. So I got it from Southern Star. So 11 Below, Buffalo, and me got it from Southern Star.
Okay.
Do you have
I
any
gave
left?
it to. Oh no, I've been well done with that. That was hell. I kegged that beer on the 11th of February, so it's been long gone. But let's see. After that, I gave it to Brazos Valley and Copperhead.
Okay.
And I can't remember the full tree, but yeah, that'd be tier 2. I thought they were tier 4 at Southern Yankee, but I cannot remember.
Okay.
Either way, it's either 3 or 4.
Well, I think I've seen it out there on social and stuff. But what style did y'all brew?
We did an IPA with Denali and lemon drop hops.
Okay.
So it smells and kind of tastes like Fruit Loops.
Cool. All right. Well, that's a great segue, Kennedy. If you're ready for the question that everybody always wants to know, if you're ready for.
I'm ready.
That.
I'm ready.
All right. Here we go.
It's time for your favorite segment and mine here on Liquid Lunch. This is
We can't hear.
What you
Oh yeah.
drinking?
It's playing.
Yeah.
So the question is, what you
I just want
drinking?
them to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
What you drinking?
I'm drinking a Ninth Circle.
That's some of the last of it in the world. It's discontinued. There's, I think, the keg Preston grabbed, and we're down to like one more 6 still in the cold bin. That's it. So
Right now, what's in my stomach is super exclusive.
that's pretty much correct.
Yeah.
And in your glass.
Oh man. So tell me about this beer.
Ninth Circle is a black IPA, and with black IPAs or Cascadian dark ales, they can vary in how they are approached. You won't see a lot in market anymore. There's really not that many in market anymore. It turns out the market doesn't particularly care for them.
Yeah, I don't understand.
But I think it's just because it's a bit of a conundrum, because you want the roasted grains to be there, but you also can't overpower the hops, and they easily can overpower them. I think the problem with black IPAs from the get-go is that a lot of recipes either were an IPA recipe and they just added what's it called, Sinmar. It's like a 3000 Lava Bond black dye, basically.
Yeah.
So there wasn't anything particularly interesting about them, except they were, instead of being whatever other color, they were black. On the other end of the spectrum, you had guys taking stout recipes and then just hopping that bejesus out of them. And so you ended up with a really tannic extracted bitter bomb thing.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't necessarily be a particularly attractive. And that's the problem, is how do you balance out, you want high sulfate concentration in an IPA, and in a dark beer like that, you don't necessarily look for that, mostly because you'll get huge tannin extraction, so you'll start making it very bitter. And that's the problem. It was around the end of the West Coast, not that West Coast has died off, but around that time where West Coast was, I think, in full swing, looking for not necessarily more bitter beers, but you start adding those dark chocolate roasted barley, black patent malts in there, and with the same water chemistry and all those hops, you ended up with a very bitter beer. And I think that really turned people off of them. In my opinion, and what I think we did with Ninth Circle was you have to balance the roast and the hops. So when you drink this beer at the beginning, you're going to get a lot more of the roasted character when it's cold, 36 degrees, 38 degrees, whatever it's out of the cold bin. Once you've let it warm up to 45, 50 degrees, it's all cascade on the end, so it just blossoms with aroma.
Yeah.
It's kind of closed at the beginning, but that's just, I think, the nature of balancing the roast and the hops. And so that's how we shot for it. But I didn't want to use Sinmar. I wanted to actually use roasted grains, and so that's where we ended up.
Okay. It's delicious.
Yeah, it's very good.
I love the style. I mean, when done like this baffles me that people wouldn't want to drink this all the time. This seems like the perfect, I don't know, St. Patrick's Day beer or
I
something
think
like
a
that.
lot of people are afraid of putting enough roasted malts in them. The Cascadian Dark should be roast forward. It shouldn't be overpowering, but it should definitely be there. And this is a perfect iteration of the Cascadian Dark.
Yeah. Any thoughts on? You said it's done, but
Yeah.
would you ever consider bringing it back later?
Yeah, we'll probably do it again at one point, if nothing else, at least on the pilot. I know how to make it, so that's not the issue. So it's not like I'm just going to throw that recipe away or something. So
It's dead to me.
it's just that as far as we tried to keep it around as kind of a nice big dark beer all year round, and it just didn't make sense to make 30 barrels of it because I either make a barrel or I make 30 barrels, and so very, very on opposite ends of the spectrum from that perspective. So it's not going away forever. It will probably see it here and there and now and again, but just not all the time. Even at the tap room, we've had it on for a long time at the tap room. It really hasn't been a market, but even at the tap room, it's about to go.
Yeah. No, it's super pleasant. So if you see it out there, grab it, drink it, put it in you, because it's really, it's like all the roasty, the aroma, the hop aroma. It's like so much on all sides. It's like a journey. You have to go through a journey through this beer.
Well, what else is fun about it is that keg is over a year old. I kegged that 2 Mays ago, or last May.
Mm-hmm.
So is it last May or maybe it was? I can't remember, but it was a while ago. And so they really,
open it up, I'll look.
whenever you have beers that are a little bit more complex or bigger, as long as you keep oxygen out, and that's one of the big parts. That's the nice thing about keg beer, even craft or otherwise. Just the lack of oxygen is really your big win, because if it sits in a cold bin with no light, no oxygen, pretty much you've frozen time as far as the beer is concerned. Which there's a lot of debate about that, but I can tell you just this beer has a lot going on, so it's not necessarily the best one. Any kind of roast forward beer isn't going to show it as much. But if you find, if you had a Pilsner that was kegged a long time ago, chances are good it's not changed, because there's nothing to change it. What's going to go away? The reason why hoppy beers become less aromatic and things is they react out. Well, what are they reacting with? Oxygen oftentimes is a big one. Mm-hmm. And so if there's no more oxygen molecules hanging out to just degrade it, for the most part, nothing should change. Now, again, that has to do with, did you do your job well backfilling the keg? Did you make sure that you purge your lines? There's a lot of things that go into it. Do you have a leaky something somewhere? I mean, so it's not as simple as I make it sound, but it's really important, and that's what really separates doing it the right way versus not doing it the right way.
Yeah. That O's got to go. All right, so let's talk about what we're brewing, Preston.
I don't know. This is your brew. I don't know.
Oh.
I'm just the receiver. Here, I got you.
I don't have the mobile mic. Like
1 gallon.
Yep, 1 G batch.
So, Bobby, my goal is I haven't brewed in a while, and I
Sure.
feel like I've let myself get a little rusty on the process, but also I've missed a great opportunity to learn.
And honestly, you should be very ashamed of yourself.
Tell him.
Yeah.
Why?
Because you gave up.
I didn't
on
give
Brew
up.
You're a quitter.
You're
Oh,
a
wait a
quitter.
minute. No, he's not a quitter. He's involved. He's got kids.
Yeah.
Things happen. Life happens.
Yeah,
It does.
I built out a Keyser with every intention to, well, it's mostly built out. So that's the thing.
Mostly.
It's 78%.
He's mostly dead.
It's yes, but that's the difference between dead and mostly is slightly alive.
That's
Yeah.
right.
All right. Jeffrey's calling you a quitter.
Oh, dang it. Jeffrey.
He said, "I have kids. I brew every 2 weeks."
What? Yeah, but what are your kids' names? Yeah, see, didn't even know. His kids don't. He hadn't seen his kids, and he spends all his time out in that brew shed. I don't even know what he looks
Well,
like.
I'd spend all my
Doing the
time out in the
Lord's
brew
work.
shed.
Yes. All right, so I wanted to use this hop because I tried it the other day in a beer and it was good, and I love the name.
What's the name of it?
Motueka? Did I say that right?
I think that's close.
Close enough. Close enough for this guy. What do we know about this hop? All I know is that it's fun to say.
Citrusy, lemon, a little bit of grassiness depending on the flavor. I mean, we've got a very full schedule here. So we've got a 60-minute, a 45, 30, 15 flame out and dry hop. So
It's old school.
we're gonna throw everything in, and including the sink at it.
We're one of those vibrating football things away from a continuously hot beer.
That's right.
Is that,
We're gonna throw one pellet in every second.
do you think that really is gimmicky, right?
Who knows?
I mean, right? If you start like,
Yeah.
it works though. I'm a sucker for it. I'll admit. I'm a sucker for everything that they do. Oh, that sounds amazing. We put all the hops in while we were looking the other way.
Right.
No
Over the back.
The no look hops, no look hop beers.
It makes people excited.
I know, right? I don't know what it is. Like, okay, sure, I'm gonna try that. Oh, I can taste the no look in there.
Speaking of, you want to put some hops in?
Somebody, yeah,
Yeah.
You got a camera?
do that. So I'll do play by play.
There's already a camera on it.
Yeah,
I think we're going to cut to it.
And
But
Are you cutting to it?
all right.
we even lit it up. So
It
there
is
we go.
live.
All right.
Grandfather
Live,
Putting in hops.
60-minute edition.
Oh, look, we got a label.
All right, here we go.
So as you can see, Preston uses his right hand to dump the hops and his left hand to stir. The hops start to break down from their pellet.
Ta-da.
Did
and
you
then he
notice
just-
that technique?
Yeah. No, that.
He switched from left hand to right hand to stir.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, you want to get the first couple of stirs lefty because you don't want to go too powerful at the beginning.
Yeah.
Then you go righty to really bring it home and get the hop addition to really, meld. Right, Bobby? That's pretty. Is that a sign? Is that what y'all do?
Yes. Yes, we'll leave it at yes.
Yes. Do you have any experience with Motueka, saying or using?
Yeah, no, we did a collaboration with Nobi. So Channing down from Nobi wanted to do a collab, and so in the true sense of collaborations, or at least what I think about them, is that both parties need to have some kind of idea, right? That's why you don't see. I'll tell you, that's why you don't see Back Pew doing a lot of collaborations where we get together and make IPAs, because that, generally speaking, is one of the most boring things to me in the world. It's like, oh, you make IPAs, I make IPAs. Let's get together and make an IPA. Where did the fun part come from?
Yeah.
I know that a lot of people say the fun part's the collaboration. I was like, yeah. So to me, I was like, all right, Channing, what do you want to do? And he said, well, I know you're a lager guy. I said, yeah. He goes, but I like the hazy IPAs. I said, don't do it. I don't want to do it. And
what do you do?
And so I said, all right. So he said, all right, man, I want to do a hazy style kind of IPA. He said, but all New Zealand hops. So I said, all right, well, how about we do a traditional German Pilsner, hopped that way? And he was like, don't know what that's going to be, but let's do it. So we melded the two things together, and I got to pick the hops. So we did. He said he really liked Motueka, so he wanted to do that. We had Waiti and Rakau as well, so it's all three hops. And so he came and brewed it, and I made him do a traditional German Pilsner mash in, so nice decoction mash, 100% Pilsner malt. The water was a little bit it was a little bit more than a Pilsner kind of water build. And we fermented it with a Pilsner yeast, traditional, lager fermentation, 48 degrees until diacetyl rest. Brought it back down and just added an enormous amount of hops. It made me sad. It was an egregious amount of hops.
Yeah.
But because of the lagering process, a lot of the parts that I'm not a fan of about the New England style came out, because a lot of that fell out. So it actually ended up being it was only 5.2%, and it really was quite nice. It was as fruity as you could ever want it to be. It was really nice beer. It was lagered, so it was higher carbonation level, which I think helped play off of that much hops. So it was really pleasant, and we're gonna do it on the big system here soon, and it's gonna be a big can release from the brewery, so that'll be really fun. So I just bought an obscene amount of hops that are very hard to come by to make a small amount
Cost
of
a
beer.
fortune.
So that will be fun.
I would like to say that, so a lot of the brewing systems out there that the breweries, quote unquote, are using are 1, 2, 3 vessel. Bobby's brewing on a 4 vessel system. What does that mean? That means Bobby can do things that the other places can't.
Right.
Like a decoction mash.
Okay, yeah, let's
he
get
can
into
do
that.
traditional beers in the traditional style and get the traditional flavor. A lot of places can't do that. Bobby's doing it right, in my opinion. Just saying. Bobby's killing it over here at Back Pew. Cheers to you, brother.
Thank you.
Well, and one of the best tap rooms and experiences, but all that aside, once you get there, now let's talk about decoction mash.
Sure.
Now, so is that, you guys are the experts, so I'll throw out a question.
That's the expert right there.
Were you
So
pull
what
apart part of the mash?
So a
and-
decoction. So in general, everybody's familiar with the fact that you mix water with grain, turn the starches into sugar. Basically, what we do as brewers is generically we make yeast food, right? The yeast eat the sugar, they pee ethanol, fart CO2, we get beer. It's a fantastic day.
Yeah.
So on the brew house, that's when we do our job. And so this is a heavily debated topic. I debate it with other brewers all the time because it's relative. But decoction mashing originated in Germany for the primary reason of way back when they didn't have things like steam jackets to change the temperature of the mash. The grain they were using was not what we call well modified, which is what we have today. So that means that if you were just to throw it in at what we call the saccharification temperature, or the temperature where the enzymes convert the starches to sugar, and expect that to happen and make good beer, you would be you'd make shit. It would be bad. And so what they realized was back when you had to start and do various other temperature mashes, and you can read about, you see them in John Palmer's How to Brew. You talk about them. There's an acid rest where you're changing the acidity of the mash. There's one to help break down proteins, one to help break down starches. So there's a lot of different things. And so to do that, they would start low temperature. They'd take a portion of that out, bring it up to a boil, put it back in, and it would raise the temperature. And they would do this as many times as they needed to, depending upon the brewery, what beer they were making, and what they wanted to produce. A side effect of that was the fact that as they went up to boiling temperature, they would go through that period of the scale of the temperature range where you convert those starches to sugars. So by the time you got to boiling, what would happen is you would actually also caramelize those sugars. So the Maillard reaction, which is the same thing in cooking as it is in brewing, the browning feature, so it takes it from being something light color to dark color. Anybody who's made a roux knows this. Anybody who's cooked down onions knows this. Anybody who's done anything like that knows this. The same thing occurs. So by creating that caramel off of just a very basic sugar, say a Pilsner malt, which tastes like nothing, you get a much better depth of flavor, even though you're going to end up making a lager beer, which is usually a lot lighter in body. And so that's really what we're doing at Fort Back Pew, is that we want to get that flavor in it. And that's where you get those more traditional flavors. So, it generates more difficult mashing schedules. We don't do it because we just feel like spending more time on it. We do it because it's the right way to do it, and you get better flavor.
Yeah.
And so the other cool thing is you end up getting clearer wort out of it, because a lot of those proteins and things will come to the top. You'll be able to filter them out in the lauter, so you can get a clearer wort going to the fermenter, which will help you with clearer beer down the way. And so there's a lot of pros to it. A lot of guys say that they can't taste the difference. Having made my same beers with and without it, I can tell you I think I taste the difference.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing where there's this another large issue right now, which is throwing hops in during fermentation. Mm-hmm. And they say that there's a chemical reaction that occurs with the yeast and the hops. And I've tried my beers 2 ways. I don't think that adds shit. Talk to any New England IPA brewer, and they will say if you don't do that, it won't taste the same. Mm-hmm. Again, based on me trying some, I disagree. But brewers are different. There's different avenues for that, and I mean there is some scientific evidence that it does occur. It's called biotransformation. It's a very sexy word. I think it's just a load of shit, but I'm sure it does happen to some degree. Whether or not that makes or breaks those beers, I'm not sure. Okay. Having played with it, so that's my opinion. Again, everybody's got their own opinion, but again, a lot of brewers will tell you never to do a decoction.
So decoction, when they were first coming up with that, I don't know how familiar you are with the history, but you can just lie because I don't know. Did they even have thermometers back then when they were for the?
Yeah, you had thermometers.
No.
Well, not. I mean, like way back.
No,
things
way
are about to get heated.
back.
Well, if you're going that far back,
Thermometer pun.
No.
Like when did decoction mash
thermometers
first become a thing?
Were late 1700s, about the same time that we found out about yeast.
Okay.
1790-ish is when we found out about yeast.
Okay.
So a lot of people think that it just happened. Well, it didn't. They used their sight, they used feel, and they used smell.
Yeah.
When the water just barely starts to have a film of, a dusting.
Maybe like blood temperature and stuff.
That would be about 130 degrees.
Yeah.
So when you saw the steam just starting to rise out of it, that was about 150 degrees. And there's different ways to tell.
When you
touch,
tip a small child's foot and they scream.
That's right. You're at least 160, right?
Boiling's at least easy.
Yeah, boiling's easy, right?
Yeah. Okay. So they were doing decoction mash before but they were using the visuals and things like that.
Yeah, and smell, and technically the brewers were all female back then.
Yeah.
The
Roosters.
males were not part of the brewing. It was the females that were the brewers.
Yeah.
So all you lady brewers out there, go for it, man.
Yeah, bringing it back.
Kill it.
Yeah. Huh, I find that whole thing interesting because I think, don't they pull off a certain, is it volume or weight of grain from the mash to do the
usually
decoction?
I go by
weight.
volume. Because there's, the total amount of volume is easier to measure than it is weight, especially in larger.
That makes sense for a larger, but like for me, it's a weight.
I wonder what they were doing back then, if they had a scale or some sort of
They
weight.
probably had a particular vessel that they moved it into,
Once it
filled
got
that
up,
up, and then they boiled it and they put that back. And so
Exactly.
keep in mind, a lot of it was, trial and error. Is that enough?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And so eventually that's, now we can calculate a lot more things. We have math to tell us a good idea of what should happen, but you get into your rhythm of what works for you and gets that product the way you want it to. So that's, you got to think that the first guy who tried Saison he was a farmer who had left a barrel under and it got wet, and so he knew drinking water could get him sick. He didn't have any wine, but he picked this stinky, funky barrel of water stuff on grain. He said, "I'll give that a shot," and it ended up not killing him. So from that was spontaneous fermentation. That what little sugar that was there, and so it was only like a 1.5% ABV beer or something like that too. But it was enough to kill everything that would be dangerous.
I'd like to meet that dude.
Yeah, he was a ballsy dude. He may be relatively mild in most of his doings, being that he was a farmer, but as far as his drinking habits, he went for it.
Yeah, he's that guy that will never hesitate when you're like, "Hey man, smell that." He's
You taste this?
yeah, try. What's that taste like to you?
Smell my finger.
Yeah, he will never turn you down.
No,
that guy.
He's like,
Saison
awesome.
guy.
Oh man, that's terrible. That was awful. I should never have done that. What you got? What's next?
Yeah. All right. Do we have a clock on our right?
Shot.
I don't know.
Yeah, okay, next hop edition. Let's do it.
We're just
Why
doing
not?
it.
Oh.
Yeah, why not?
That's okay. So that's the freedom
We're
side.
playing loose here, right?
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, we're going to have beer.
Yeah.
That's right. That is the theme of today.
Are we in?
We're in.
Just
All
a
right,
beer
here
can.
goes.
Here we
Look at
go.
that
Going
technique.
right-handed again.
40
Double
minute.
tap.
45 minute.
45
The,
minute. And
the index finger tap. You see that?
Yeah. Well, you don't want to leave any little pellets.
No
lingering.
dust.
No
Especially now with
dust.
Motueka.
That's right.
So, okay, what do we know about
gold.
Motueka? That's a southern hemisphere.
It's New Zealand.
New Zealand?
Yeah.
What do we know about New Zealand?
You've brewed with it.
I mean, it's very popular right now. The number one most popular hop is Citra. The second is Mosaic, but Motueka is exceedingly difficult to come by. There's not a there's not a lot of it made. That Galaxy is very popular. It's similar to that in that it's going to bring you a lot of that punchy, fruity, citrusy flavor, and that's where it gets kind of interesting because there's only so many times that you can describe a hop by citrusy, fruity, stone fruit. I'm like, all right, that's enough. I get it.
That's another one.
That's congratulations. You made another hop that's supposed to have those exact same things as the other hop does. But it's just kind of funny how that goes along.
Do you think it's the same hop?
Huh?
Do you think it's the same hop?
I mean, it's not. It's just.
gotta be, right?
I sometimes wonder how many times a hop vendor can be like, yeah, but this one's got like a little bit more citrus than the stone fruit. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. So you're saying that what you did was make a hop where I could just keep using existing hops and just kind of blend them a little different. They're like,
Isn't
well,
that
sort of.
CTZ?
Now CTZ is I've gotten away from
Tomahawk, Zeus.
well, that's just where like three different
names.
guys named the same exact hop.
Right.
Yeah, but then you have things like Fogels, which are, I think those are, no, Northern Brewer is different. German Northern Brewer is different than U.S. Northern Brewer. Goldings are basically the same thing. Fogel was the same thing, but I think it actually ended up being different in the U.S. because of the growing conditions. So U.S. versus German or U.K. can get weird. Other times it makes no difference, and so weird things like that happen.
Told you he was the expert.
Seriously.
Seriously.
Seriously. I don't know. Do we have any idea where the name came from? I mean,
No
I mean,
clue.
I think hop producers. If you look at things, if you go to, sometimes a lot of times they'll start off with a number like experimental whatever. So Idaho
HB,
7 started with
whatever,
that,
yeah.
where it was experimental Idaho 7 hops. It was the 7th time a farmer in Idaho had tried making a new hop on accident, and it actually worked. But then they just call it ID 7 or Idaho 7 just because they couldn't come up with anything else. And enough brewers had already been using it under that name where it worked. Other times they'll take, like for instance, Denali. Denali currently is not called Denali right now. There was some kind of issue with the name, so now it's back to HBC 0087, whatever the hell the number is.
I wonder if it was a copyright thing.
I'm sure it was.
Dodge,
So that's
didn't
the
Dodge
problem.
Yeah, the
so
Denali.
Amarillo is a great thing to talk about. Amarillo is only grown by one family because they have it patented. So nobody else. That's why Amarillo,
Nobody
the
else
price
has
is high and it's hard to get because they're the only ones who are allowing themselves to grow it and they're keeping the volume down. Bummer for them is now everybody's moved on to New Zealand, so I don't think it's as big of an issue anymore. But they're keeping their hands on that.
Speaking of hops, right here at the Grain Cellar, over 100 different varieties. I think the current count is 103. You can find all of those. Hard to find. I've got Dr. Rudy, which nobody has. I've got Idaho 7. I've got all the obscure stuff. I've got stuff that nobody else has. So definitely, if you want to experiment, this is the place.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
And if you're watching the screen right now, we have the address.
Oh, thank you.
Of how to get to the grain
Yes.
cellar.
Oh yeah,
Come
do you,
see me.
Do you have the Google Map set?
No.
Would it be redundant to say that this episode brought to you by the Grain Cellar?
What? Yeah, hell yeah! Free hugs.
Free hugs.
Free hug.
We're all about
Get your first brew. Come in here and let Preston coach you up. Maybe Bobby will be sitting in here when you come in. Who knows?
Probably not. Not because I don't like being here. It's just I rarely ever leave the brewery.
Yeah, he
so
lives at the brewery.
I pretty much live there.
Kinda
So if
like
you want to
me
see me,
here.
you can sometimes go over there. Depends of how busy I am. I may yell at you to get out because I'm busy. And there's a lot of dangerous things going on. So
Yeah.
just wandering in is usually not a good idea. But standing at the door and kind of like looking in, I'll probably notice. But you can kind of see I run around a lot, and so that's where it's tricky. You gotta catch me in motion. But yeah, so it's not that I don't want to. But there, I mean, we've had meetings. We've done some brewings using the robot trash can. So
Love the robot trash can.
yeah, I hate that thing.
Love you, Bobby.
You can keep using it. All of you can buy one. I prefer my Igloo cooler. Thank you very much.
What? Okay, let's. You know what? The robot trash. Can we? Do you know what? We can.
Yeah, no, sure.
No,
we can talk about robot trash can.
The Grainfather.
Hey,
What we're
a lot of
brewing on
people love
today.
it.
There we go.
Technically,
There we go.
since Bobby's here by association, he's brewing on it today too. We just have to get him to touch it once, and he's guilty. by it.
well-
Bobby does the next hop edition.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll
We'll
watch
see.
his technique.
We'll
The
see.
Grainfather is brewed on by.
Oh, don't be that way, Bobby.
By
Come
back to you,
on,
Bobby.
man.
Okay, so
It is a cool device, but it's basically a large bun water heater with a pump in it.
I mean,
And it works.
And
it does
it
exactly
works.
what it needs to do.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Well, it's like okay.
It's the Cadillac of brewing systems.
Okay, yeah. So if you're a purist, I'll say that with quotes. If you wanted decoction or double decoction or whatever, Grainfather, not the apparatus.
Probably not the apparatus.
But
Yeah.
if you're getting into brewing, you have a little disposable income, maybe a small apartment like Kennedy, and you spend a lot of time there by yourself, like Kennedy.
Kennedy has a
Wait.
grandfather.
He's got-
I do, sorta.
he came across that Grainfather the same way he came across that beer from Southern Star.
Hey,
He just took it.
No,
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 let's not
no.
throw him under the bus.
No, he tried to throw me under the bus last week,
I
didn't try.
heard.
and it didn't
And-
work. They didn't
and-
care.
And they didn't.
I
They
just
were
wanted
like,
to
yeah, we probably would have given
Yeah.
it to you anyway. so-
Listen,
Dave's like, I can get that beer anytime I want.
Dave was 7 beers in. You can't trust what he was saying. You can't trust that.
By the way, how did y'all like the new brewery over there? It's nice, isn't
A
it?
Southern Star?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Can you call that a new brewery?
I
Well,
mean,
not technically not
I mean,
anymore.
it's
I
been
guess.
there for like 3 years now, right?
Yeah, technically not really, but
the,
it's new to me because I've only been
Well,
there
it's newer
once.
than their original one.
Yeah,
So,
brewery
yeah.
years are I don't even think they're like dog years. They're like further out. It's like
Yeah.
just based on when new breweries come online.
Yeah,
Uh,
they're 2 dog years old now.
something, yeah.
Or close.
No,
13?
Southern Star is like would
13,
be like
14 years.
in dog years.
Been a while.
That's 2 dog years.
Well, they're 3. I don't
They're
know.
not 21 years old. No,
No, I'm saying, but in
No.
brewer years, they're. I don't know. We'll have to make
We
that
lost the
scale.
calibration.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, reset that. We need ice water or something. But
As far as the Grainfather is concerned, though, depending upon how you want to brew, it's just like brewing systems. Because Preston was talking about my brew system. Well, I like doing traditional style German lagers and things of that nature. If you're looking to do single infusion mashing, which a large population of brewers are,
98%.
so what that means is if you see porters, stouts, and IPAs, you can guess that it's single infusion mashing. A 2-vessel system is more than sufficient. Same thing if that's what you plan to brew at home. A Grainfather is great because it's going to cut out a lot of extra work for you, and it's going to make it simple, and you'll be able to produce beers in a nice, concise time frame. Pickup's easy, and so it works really well for that.
yeah, no, it's coming out of Australia, right?
Correct.
Like
Well-
just next door to the Motueka field.
Right, exactly.
I'm assuming.
For someone like me, the Grandfather's perfect.
Right,
I
exactly.
I live in an apartment.
You can brew indoors.
I can't really have like open flames
Yeah.
anywhere.
Technically,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Technically, I
it's
can't.
a technicality, but
They're such Debbie Downers there
Yeah,
in your
no.
lease office there. That lady, what's her name? I don't know.
We're not naming names on.
She's such a
No.
she's such a
no
bummer.
call-outs.
Such a bummer, man.
No.
But the process of using the Grainfather, it's just you have it's a brew in a bag, right? It's a basket
it's
and
literally all in one.
yeah, just put it up on the counter. Let
heating
that
elements, all that stuff.
yeah. It's electric, all electric. Timer. I think there's an app.
And as you can see, it's working great.
If you sync it up with what's the tax, the TurboTax, it'll do your taxes and brew. It's pretty amazing.
I was just on TurboTax yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh,
if you had
let's
your
not be
grandfather,
Debbie Downers here. Come on now.
if you had the grandfather, you could have done it all in one fell swoop. It'd have been great. And you can Netflix as well. There's a model with
Netflix and chill.
Yeah, yes, Netflix and Brew. I don't know if they have Hulu though. Those Australians are not quite up with it quite yet. They have some, but go check out their website. They got some cool stuff. And Grandfather's available here at the Grain Cellar.
Yes.
Yeah.
My last batch I brewed, I came up here to the Grain Cellar.
That's right.
with
What did we
Preston.
brew?
We brewed a Hefeweizen.
What was it called?
The Kennedy
Banana.
No.
Okay. What? I always ask this, and he always just kind of looks at me. What yeast did you use?
Oh yeah.
And he's looking over at Preston like Preston's going to
It's like,
remember. Preston's
bailed
brewed
me
like
out.
Okay.
4,000 batches since
I
then.
used a Hefeweizen yeast.
It was WB06, which is one of my favorites. If you ferment cold, you don't get any of the bananas, but if you ferment warm, like Kennedy wants the banana.
He's been sleeping with that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's WB06.
Wrapped it up in a
So
blanket.
dry yeast.
I
works
think
great.
Preston tried to play a trick on me though.
What?
Yeah, because that
What?
thing blew up all over my floor.
It was
Oh.
happy yeast.
I thought you were going to say
I'll
he
do
slipped
that.
you an actual banana.
I
Happy
Hefeweizen.
yeast.
I came home from work and it was just everywhere, like on the walls.
Yeah.
Happy yeast. I texted him back. I was like, happy yeast.
Yeah, man.
Isn't that right? What I
Yeah,
said?
That's exactly what
Exactly
you said.
what I said.
Did y'all see the, speaking of things...
It's not my fault he didn't put it in a container to contain it.
Yeah, right?
well,
blow off tube.
yeah.
That's the word of the day.
You
blow
live,
off
you
tube.
learn.
Did
right.
y'all see the story of the food truck that blew up at the brewery? It's like up in Oregon.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, they had it was before anybody got there for the day. I think it was like on the weekend, but they were
Holy
early.
smoke.
And the food truck, I guess, had a gas leak
Oh.
and blew up, blew a door off the brewery, damaged a couple other.
I think some
smoke.
kegs exploded inside the brewery too.
Did you see the story? Are you saying that for real? Or you
No,
just-
I saw the story. Yeah.
I was going to go with
Wow.
it.
Did they actually have service that day? Did they did they like, hey, it's good, like we don't have a truck anymore, so it's like open.
Everything's
Go
going to be
forward.
well done.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't. I was just like.
That'd be being a champ right there.
Yeah,
if you
but-
could
Right.
make it work.
But they had actual the camera footage of like the explosion. It was a legit like
Oh, I haven't
fireball.
seen that footage.
Yeah, it's a big fireball. So
Was anybody in there, or were they?
nobody
I
was
think-
hurt.
I think it's time for Bobby to add hops.
Yeah, Bobby, get on that. Time for Bobby to. Do we have
Do something?
Yeah, let's.
Just loafing around here.
Yeah, let's.
Setting
You got
too
the camera
long.
ready?
Yeah. Here's Bobby Harl, Dr. Bobby
The next
Harl.
week up.
See, he goes right-handed too. He goes righty too with the hop edition.
Well, he's holding on.
Well, I don't want it to be like a stranger.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is-
Dang.
Well, that only works if you
Look
hit
at
sit
that.
on your hand.
Well, and yeah. you
So there was the
sit on
hop
your
edition.
hand.
So once it's boiling, is there really any need to stir when you
Not
do the
really.
hop? They just kind
No.
of break down,
Yeah, it's
break apart, and it's all
moving
up
enough
in there.
yeah.
The bubbles do all your work for you.
The motion of the ocean is all it's
Yeah.
all good. Hops, pellets versus whole leaf. What's thoughts? You two. wants
Whole leaf only if it's fresh. My personal opinion.
Okay.
Just that's an opinion. Just like everybody's got one, right?
Like assholes.
Whole leaf, when it's dried, loses a lot of its alpha acids. So, am I wrong, Bobby?
I don't play with whole leaf.
Yeah.
I just find it's
Pellets.
nothing but a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
There are some people who prefer whole leaf hops. I can tell you from a large scale brewing perspective, it's a pain to use them.
Mm-hmm.
They absorb a lot of water. They are not as efficient.
Yeah.
And some brewers claim that they can't get the flavor match between whole leaf and pellet. And so the guys who use whole leaf have tried going to pellet and they can't seem to flavor match. There's an efficiency difference because if you just think of the total vegetal mass you have in a whole leaf hop versus a pelletized hop where you're getting a lot more for a lot less, there's inherent, it's not a direct correlation. So I understand that it could be tough, but I've used whole leaf a couple times and I was nothing but disappointed.
Okay.
You're going to have to add so much more to get the same amount back,
Yeah.
and then you leave a whole lot of beer back, and I just can't ever justify, based on the aroma and flavor, I'm like, that would have been better if I used pellet hops.
Yeah.
That's what I think every time I do a whole leaf hop beer. So just personal preference, but some guys love it. They think that what I've been told is the guys who love it think it's got a more mellow flavor. It's not as bitey. To me, that means that you're not getting as much alpha acid into the beer. It's not isomerizing the same way.
Absolutely.
But my concern is, especially if you boil with a lot of them, the huge amount of tannin extraction you have from all the vegetal material. And so, plus if you're using it on a big system where you have pumps and stuff, or even a smaller brew house system like that, you're going to clog your pumps in a heartbeat. Yeah. So you have to use hop sacks, which, how much fun is it to clean hop sacks? Zero amount of fun.
Today.
And
tomorrow maybe.
But I mean, it's just one of those things. So I stay away from them. I think you can. My personal opinion is you can use either and get your achieved results. I prefer pellets just because I think that it just makes a lot more sense to me. If you think about it, where cryo hops are going, where lupulin powder is going, all of those things is to get away from more vegetal material to get a better result. And so going back to whole leaf before they had pellets, or before they pelletized hops, things like that, seems like you're kind of. Now this comes from the guy who does decoctions. You're kind of just milking something that's not really necessary anymore.
I feel like that was more of a debate like 4 or 5 years ago.
Well, so my question to Bobby would be, and I don't know the answer to this, is wet hop versus the dried version that you get at a homebrew store. I've had really good results with wet hops.
Okay.
But have you had any experience?
I don't use wet hops just because it's very, very vegetal.
And it's expensive too.
It's expensive. So what he's talking about, just for those of you not quite familiar with what wet hopping is versus a whole leaf hop. Whole leaf hop, if you were to get them, you'd see that they are literally the leaves of the hop cone. A hop cone, which you can see in a lot of pictures, it looks like a pine cone, except it's a flower is what it is. And so when you get whole leaf hops, essentially that's what they are. They're just dried, vacuum sealed, and off to the races. When you're using wet hops, you're literally picking them and using them. You haven't dried them, you haven't done anything. So you add a whole lot more water to your beer so you can dilute it, but you also have all of the potential to grab all that grassy flavor, at least in my opinion, which is why I stay away from it. Whenever I've had a wet hop beer, when you're doing a wet hop beer, it's not the same thing where you add wet hops to a boil. You have to have so many hops to get it, your efficiencies are so low, it's like a 1 to 8 for a pellet hop. So you have to use 8 times as much for wet hop to get the same thing you're going to get from a pellet hop. That you actually put it back in, so in my case, an equivalent like a lauter tun. So it's got a screen, you throw them all in there, you put hot, you do your boil, you drive off dimethyl sulfides, you put it back over there to try to extract all the flavors, and then you go to your fermenter. And that's where it gets tricky. And the problem is, it's the same thing of being careful with any kind of adding vegetal material to a boil or a high temperature based sugary solution. You can pull a lot of flavors you don't want. And that's what I get from them a lot, and that's why I'm not a fan of them. We grow the hops mostly as an educational thing so people can see them. I think it would be fun to do a wet hop beer, but it's just not my flavor palette. But that's what I get from them. But if you're thinking about doing one, know that if you're like, oh, typically I use like an ounce, you're going to use at least 8. And so it's just because of all of the extra water that was not driven out even in the whole leaf hop process.
So the drying process concentrates the flavor?
Well, it gets rid of all that water, so it just doesn't dilute it. So, hop is just like any other piece of grass or anything else, any other vegetal leaf, it's got a lot of water in it.
Yeah.
By the time you dry it out, you lose weight, I think, about 8 times. So if you think about what's going to happen, that's why whole leaf hopping, it's going to soak up a bunch of that. And that's why pelletizing is nice, because you get rid of a lot of that stuff. That's when they took it to cryo, and basically they said, okay, there's what they call the brack, which is all the vegetal stuff that doesn't have a whole lot to do with anything. And then there's basically everything else, which is what they sell, which is essentially lupulin. And the lupulin gland, should you ever tear a hop apart, and you can see it by Googling it really quickly, it's this gold powdery stuff on the inside. It's the sticky icky that makes it a lot like its close cousin.
Yeah.
And that's what you're really looking for a flavor, more so than what you could get from the bitterness. And that's where old school West Coast IPAs, where you just put a bunch of bittering hops in at the beginning, you're just boiling the piss out of a whole lot of vegetal material. And so it's not just the alpha acid isomerization that's happening that makes it bitter, but you're also getting a lot of tannin extraction, things like that. That's why what you've seen is a shift to late addition hopping. You don't pull as much of that out, so IPAs have gotten more mellow, more about flavor, and that's a lot of why that shift has occurred.
Told you he was smart.
I know, right?
Yep.
I mean, I followed along.
Until about the second
Well, I
sentence.
tell everybody when you want to ask those kind of questions, it's kind of like yeast generations. How many times can you reuse yeast? That's a whole other bucket of worms you don't really want to go into.
Well, I mean,
let's go deep.
Let's
Yeah,
go deep on some yeast. I mean, we're doing daisy chain, right? What yeast are we going to use on this beer?
So I have just a 05, a standard. All right. Let's talk about the recipe real quick.
Okay.
So the idea is something that's repeatable, something that can be taken and and all you have to do is change the hop.
Okay.
So the idea was you basically take something that you can pull off of any shelf and make a beer with. Now the variable there is the water, and Bobby could probably go way deep.
We're not
into
doing
that
water
also.
today. We're not doing water today. That's like 2 hour long liquid lunch of just water.
Exactly. So the idea was just something
Kinda dry
simple
anyway.
that you could take
So much
and repeat time after time after time. That was the idea, Josh, was
Yes.
something that you could, because I have 100 different varieties.
Yes.
We're going to make 100 different beers.
Yeah, that was my goal. I want to do that. I'm serious. Like, I don't know how long it'll take. I may be 84 by the time we
100
get.
days.
Yeah.
Every week, right here at the Grain Cellar, 100 weeks. So basically,
The next
2 years.
2 years.
2 years at the Grain Cellar.
Yes, and by the end of that time, it'll be all virtual reality anyway. So you can join us. Just put on,
Put on your VR.
click. Yeah,
situation.
just click on the chip in your brain that we'll all have by then, and you can be right here with us. So.
Yeah. Jeffrey wants to talk water.
Good luck.
He wants
Yeah.
water.
So
He wants to talk water.
not
all
today.
right. So
Next time.
here's your water talk, Jeffrey. Is your water drinkable? Brew with it. Thank you. 2 shows a night. Tip your waiter. Good night, folks.
It's not bad advice, but it gets. I mean, that is the one
Right
part.
there.
I will say
it's
that
not bad advice.
the thing about it is, if you're a home brewer and you keep going, man, my beers are turning out great, but they're missing something. Chances are good you're not thinking about water,
Right.
and then you're going to stop and go, no, I haven't done anything with my water. I just use water and that I have. That's the difference. That's the next step that you have to take, but it's always the last one because it's probably one of the most complex parts to understand as to why it works.
Let's just emphasize that it's the last one.
Okay.
A lot of people don't understand when they get into home brewing, they want to go all the way. No, you can't go all the way. Brew beer. That's what you need to do. Brew beer. And then add things. The next step when you're just starting out would be fermentation control.
Yeah.
The biggest increase in the quality of your beer will be by fermentation control. Period. End of story.
And you've told me that several times.
You know what it is, Kennedy. This I'll get it to where
Oh.
you'll finally understand. Do we need to do any more hops?
Time for that last stop.
No, I gotta go and check an email real quick, guys.
All right, you can just have to plug it.
Oh, wait,
Yeah. There
look
you
at
go.
that. There you go.
All right.
Did I do the right one? Bobby, are you still Are you?
I don't know.
No, you're good. Okay.
I see green.
No, yeah, you're good. Okay. So here's Kenny. I'll
You
explain.
might
it.
want to get that checked out
Yeah,
if you're seeing green.
that's true.
Okay.
I don't know. I've been hanging out with Kermit a lot, and it just kind of happens.
Let me explain this whole the water and thing. Hey, man.
Hey.
Welcome to the Grain Cellar. Anything you need is here. He's not even listening. Here's the thing with the water. You ready for this? I'm gonna explain this to where you'll completely understand it. So, as craft beer fans, there's so much amazing craft beer out there, right? So, like, take Ninth Circle for example. That is a professionally done, on a master brew system at a professional brewery beer, right? Bobby's an expert. Are you following along?
I'm following.
Okay. Well, when you try to brew that, it most likely it won't turn out that good unless maybe you got lucky, right? There's always luck. It's a lot
Wow.
like it's
already hammering on Kennedy.
well, I'm just saying anybody, not just him. I'm saying, but anybody. It's just it's going to be
okay.
different. It's a lot like it's a lot like porn. We watch all this. People watch all this porn, and they're like, I could do that technique, or I could do this or that or whatever. Bring on 4 people at once. It's fine. It's fine. No, just get the basics down. That's where you should start. Just make a little love.
And it's hard. I know it is difficult to get this, and because there's a lot of people who come by the brewery. Oh, I want to start brewing beer, and that is great. We want you to, but you need to start with several. Just get some extract kits.
Yeah.
If you want to do it at home, just get some, because the first thing you're going to learn is how to clean a carboy, which is always relatively much. It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But you need to know how to do that. Make sure it's actually clean to where you get a beer that doesn't taste like it's got a bunch of Band-Aid or off flavors in it. So that's step one. Learn how to do that. Just learn generally what the process is. Then you can start thinking about maybe doing all grain batch, something like that, and you can continue to move on. You learn, and that's where at the very end of that, really, if you happen to just be savvy with water, that's great. But chances are good that will be the last thing, just because it is the most intense. I mean, yeast health, viability, learning about what yeast are really doing and why it matters, that's definitely up there. So that's where fermentation control is definitely a big one between making beer that you're really going to like versus not. If you have no fermentation control and you happen to live in a hot part of Houston, which is most of the time, become an excellent saison maker, because it won't be a problem for you. Or sours. Yep. But that's just where that comes in, which is that's just the thing. So there are some tidbits. You hear about those. There's Camden tablets where it's supposed to make your water like English water, sort of relative. But it it all is there.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am right now. I don't really have fermentation control. It's whatever the temperature of my apartment is.
Yeah, and that's okay. You can make some really good beer with that.
Hefeweizens.
Yeah, Hefeweizens work good.
How much? Yeah, how much have people really started utilizing like a Nest thermostat? Yeah, if you're just using the full, you could really dial that in, like from your phone, and check it all day. I don't know.
There's some options that they've made for the home brewer where you can have a temperature probe in there where it'll read out and you can track it and make sure you have the right fermentation temperature all the time, stuff like that. But that's not the part if you're trying to get into brewing that you're going to want, because it's a lot. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
That's you're going to spend some coin on that, or you're going to spend some coin on some other ways.
Hey, Sensuous up.
Oh. Okay, yeah, sure.
I thought you wanted him to do like a really sexy hop edition. Yeah, do that. Like, do we have any? I wish we had some music.
Yes, go.
We are
Hop edition
on.
cam, boil cam.
Yeah.
1,
Look at that.
2, 3.
Slow. Yeah. Add those hops.
Look at that index finger technique.
Old Dana White.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna drink again.
Number 15.
Anyway, okay, yeah, there we go. That was, I guess.
Do you have a preference?
Oh yeah, I'm going to go with the fifth ninth circle.
Ninth circle.
Yeah.
Your fifth ninth circle? Man,
Yes,
I
fifth
didn't,
ninth circle.
Didn't realize you had that many.
You guys weren't watching me.
If you're gonna do one like water, like step up your water game, the first step would you like filtering, like use filtered water? First?
Generally speaking, especially in the city of Houston, you want to send it through a carbon filter because all the hypochlorites and things like that are in the water, and that will help significantly. So you're going to want to send it through some sort of filter. But generally speaking, if you, like you said, if you like to drink it, you're going to be happy with it.
Yeah.
If you drink it and you're like, man, that's chlorine, probably shouldn't use that. Or if there's some weird metallic flavor, shouldn't use that either. Because guess what's going to happen to your final product? It's just, to a large, sometimes in brewing you have to ask yourself, like, I wonder what would happen if I add this. Taste what you're thinking about adding. Now with water, you're not going to taste minerals, so don't do that. If you try to eat some calcium sulfate or calcium chloride, you're not going to be happy with yourself. But in general, if you're like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen if I add this basil. Well, what's basil taste like? Or if I add this chocolate grain, what's the chocolate grain taste like? Chew on it. See what happens. Almost everything, the cool thing about what we use, it probably won't hurt you. And so you can go ahead and taste it. And if you think it's going to taste good in your final beer, throw some in there. See what happens. But if you think that you're going to throw something in there you don't like and it's going to magically be really tasty, chances are good that's not going to happen. The exception, of course, is kind of hops, because if you've ever chewed on a hop, you know that's not the most pleasant of experiences.
Yeah.
But, of course, hops can be delicious in beer.
Do you ever do like a hop tea or anything like to kind of get into a hop?
No, I've tried that before. I was not happy with that result. Just throw them in there. Let them do their thing. Let it all get extracted. I mean, inherently you have an alcohol solution, and alcohol is really good at extracting flavors. Let it go.
Okay.
So I have a question, and somebody else brought this up too. In the brewing, I've been using just Ozarka spring water, and just for me being, new, is that fine?
Again, do you like drinking Ozarka?
Sure.
Like I said, so to start off, number one, because spring water has a different mix of minerals than others. So you have to be really careful. Those of you thinking that's great to do 100% reverse osmosis or something, that's not a good idea.
Bad idea.
People get tricked into that, and they wonder why their beer turns out bad. It's because it has no minerals.
That happens a lot around here.
It does. Because people think they need pure water. Pure H2O, while tasty to drink, also leaves the palate bland. You need minerals both for the reactions that occur as well as to balance out flavor on the palate.
And for the yeast.
The yeast needs a certain amount, like magnesium, for instance. Slight magnesium adjustment. You're talking 0 to 20 part per million, so it's not much. So normal water has enough in there, so don't just go dump a bunch of Epsom salt in there, because it is a diuretic. It will make you poo-poo. You will have some interesting beer if you dump way too much Epsom salt in there.
Yeah.
But anyway, diuretic's the wrong word. But
That sounds like a really funny.
But yeah, so you have to. Yeah, that would be a hell of a joke. But
So, yeah, I
don't
was
do
gonna
that
say,
to your
if you
friends.
wanna-
Don't do
Bad
that to your
idea.
friends.
If you want to play a joke on somebody,
I
on all
guess
your
you can make a
friends.
high magnesium sulfate beer. It will not taste great, but it'll be too late by the time they've had a few. And then
Just, make sure you send them home if it's at your
yeah,
house.
you have to like give them a couple bottles to go home with or
Yeah.
something. But so that's where it matters. So you don't want to go pure RO'd, not pure distilled, but something like spring water where you have plenty of minerals. It shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
Instead of a delicious juice pop, it would be a juice poop.
Yep, it would be a juice.
Yeah,
Poop.
But
Brian,
we're not. Huh?
Brian just chimed in and says he's had bad luck with distilled water.
I mean, it's pure. You never want to do pure that. You do that. You use that in small portions. For instance, back pew, like my Pilsner is 80% reverse osmosis, and the balance is my well water. But I'm rebuilding my water chemistry because it's such a light beer, and if I overdo it, it's not going to taste the same.
So
but-
when Bobby brewed on the robot trash can here, he brought his own water and his own chemicals.
That's how he rolls.
It was at 160 degrees, ready to go when he brewed. He didn't want to mess around. He knew what he was doing. All in, all done, in and out, done. Yeah.
Well, that's just because it was a beer that we wanted to make, and I had thought I knew what I wanted to use, so it was just easier that way. But did you have to do that? No, you didn't have to do that. I mean, you could have just used to get. It would be nice to use some kind of carbon filter, get those chlorides out.
And
but
I beat Bobby with my beer. Just saying.
I don't even know what happened with that.
We drank it.
Oh, yeah. See, I didn't know. He didn't tell me when it was done. I
Yeah,
left.
he did. I told
I left
you
the
it was
dry
on
hops.
tap.
I left
It
the
was
dry
on tap.
hops. Okay.
That's
Told you to come by. It's
Brought
on
the
tap.
yeast, everything.
The did y'all brew the same style?
Yeah.
But just
I don't know, I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, we brewed the same style. It was a internal rogue homebrew competition.
Okay.
He did make it into the final round with me,
Uh-huh.
but I beat him.
Okay. Do you always drive around with this 160 degree water? Just
No, I
ready
mean
to
it was for this.
go? Okay.
I wish I was that cool. I can't do it.
Have like
All
a
right.
tank in the back of your truck
That
or
would be
something,
awesome.
just roll up and
He was
ready
nice
to brew.
enough to leave the water bottles for me too.
They have a bunch more of those for anybody who wants to do. Give it to Nils.
Right?
He can
Yeah,
do some more
they're
spontaneous
5 gallon,
fermentation.
right?
Did you
Yeah.
did you calculate? So what did you bring in it? Like a cooler?
No,
Yeah,
5 gallon
so
totes.
when I get fresh yeast in, they come in these big 5-gallon plastic vessels,
Uh-huh.
and so they work out great for moving water as well.
Okay. And so what did you calculate from when you left the brewery to when you got here? How much temperature loss you would
No,
get?
we have the robot trash can, so I wasn't
Okay.
too concerned. But
Okay.
starting with it warm just helps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Speed things along.
Is that because I always found like if I used hot water out of the tap, it seemed like it took longer to boil than if I started with cold water. I don't
That's
know.
impossible.
It's impossible.
That's not possible.
Yeah, physically
It
impossible.
just seems that way. Like maybe I
It's
felt that
it's a illusion.
Well, were you watching the pot boil?
It's all an illusion.
maybe that was it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I thought that the molecules would, like, once they start to move, you get more bounce if they've already started bouncing. You've
No,
already
it's-
used up some of the bounce. I don't know.
It's been-
I don't know a lot about molecules.
It's been scientifically proven that when you watch water boil, it takes longer.
Really
Sure.
interesting.
Yes. It's true.
Okay. Right. So
Scientifically proven here first on Liquid Lunch.
On liquid lunch.
we go deep on the science. So Preston, what is the apparatus that you placed on top? What do we got going here?
So this is what scan over to the. So this is what makes the Grandfather far and above any other brewing system out there other than a professional brewing system. This will cut 45 minutes out of your brewing day. As fast as we can pump it through this counterflow chiller, it will come out on the other side cold at or whatever temperature the water is. This alone makes, in my opinion, makes the Grandfather far and above superior to any other brewing system.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit up the Grandfather real quick so they can make sure that they heard that ringing endorsement.
Right.
First of all, anybody at Grandfather, good evening. I don't know what time it is in Australia. Or maybe it's tomorrow.
It is tomorrow.
I think it.
I wonder what the future's like. Grandfather, if you're there, let us know on Twitter what the future is like.
We love you, man.
Yeah, if
What's-
they want to donate one to Liquid Lunch.
Well, I'm not. I'm just wanting to know what. Like, if they're
No.
already in tomorrow, I want to know what's going on. Like, what are
Right.
what are the total number of views
what's
for the
happening
show?
tomorrow?
Yeah. What happened with this whole like
Okay,
North
Josh,
Korea
I'm
thing?
gonna clue you in on this whole thing, right?
Okay.
It's the same time.
Huh?
They're seeing this at the same time.
No,
So they don't-
No.
Yeah.
So you're saying
it's
that
just hours later for them.
so we should remarket how we for Australia. The Australia's
Yeah.
midnight
We're-
craft beer show. How many hours? Like what time tomorrow is it?
Yeah, so whenever they
I
click
don't
on
know.
liquidlunch.com,
Google
it
it.
should ping them to liquid midnight snack.
Yes, liquid. You're probably eating later than you should. Should you really be? Yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
You're probably just leaving the bar show.
Yeah, that's. Hey everybody.
So they can watch that on their iPhone on their drive home while they're intoxicated.
Yeah, but it's Australia because just watch out for that kangaroo. That's all.
Do they drive on the left side or the right side over there?
British,
I think they dropped
It
the
is
wrong side.
The wrong side, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
British
though.
side, the proper side.
I don't
Wrong
know.
side.
But it's they're probably. In
We're the right side. They're the wrong side.
No, we are on the right side. They're the proper side.
I don't know.
It's not the same thing.
Preston, Thomas Mendoza wants you to give him a nod. Hold on.
You got cut.
There we go.
Thomas Mendoza.
Yeah.
This one's for you, brother.
There's a nod.
Wow.
Look at
There
that
you go.
nod.
There you
Look at
go.
the nodding.
That was a great
The
nod.
nodding that occurred.
And Jeffrey wants to know what is better, the counterflow or the plate chiller?
Counterflow, definitely. The plate chiller, I've had just too many problems with. I'll sell you whatever you want. But my personal opinion is the plate chiller, it plugs up. You have problems with it. Now, when you're running a big system like what Bobby has, and you have a pump that can overcome and push debris through,
Nope.
you'll
You
still have
just
problems.
can't send them through. So it depends how you're set up.
So there you go.
It depends. So you either
Counterflow.
any kind of plate chiller, do not send a bunch of crap through it. All you're gonna do is clog it.
There you
So
go.
if you don't have a way to whirlpool at all, if you're gonna add hops, you have to go hop sacks. So it's really a pick your poison kind of issue. So if you want to use a plate chiller, awesome, do it. But know that you're gonna have to figure out some way not to send crap through it. Because if you're going to, you're not going to be doing anything. You're going to have a bunch of hot wort, and you're going to wonder what to do with it. So you got to have to, that's where you see some guys try to put a braided steel cable in the bottom of their boil kettle, which plugs with hops, because guess what it's doing is it's filtering it, so it plugs and it doesn't go anywhere. Your best bet is to somehow do a whirlpool-based method. So that's get all those hops combed up in the middle and be able to run off. It's a little bit more of a pain.
Is that how you do it?
That's how I do it even on the pilot.
There you go.
I just whirlpool into the same thing, then
There you
go
go.
right through my plate chiller right into the fermenter. So it'll drop the heat, but you have to be careful with what you're sending through to it, and that's the tricky part. So how confident are you in you can do that, and that makes your decision.
Yeah.
How many-
Personally, the counterflow doesn't care. It's a huge pipe going through, and you literally, as fast as you can pump through it. My personal opinion, it all becomes yeast food. It'll all settle out eventually. It won't be in your beer. No big deal. I'm a big fan of the counterflow.
For homebrew, do you recommend racking to a? Well, I guess technically it's not really secondary because you're not doing a second fermentation. But for like clearing up your beer, do you recommend racking to a second vessel?
So, as I've stated before, I'll sell you anything. That's why I'm in business, right?
Right.
But if you ask me what I do, I will never lie to you. I will tell you. I use the secondary maybe 1% of the time.
Okay.
What I do is I will add dry hops to the primary after primary fermentation's done. So 10 to 14 days later, I'll dry hop in the primary. I don't have so when you move from primary to secondary, you always have a chance for infection.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you do that? So if in the 1% of the time when I do actually move to a secondary, that's usually only because I am adding such a large amount of dry hops. I know that I'll try, when I'm trying to siphon out, I'll get it stuck, right? So I move it to the secondary. That way when I move it over. I can cold crash it and then be done.
Okay.
But very rarely do I ever move it to secondary. I move to secondary with wine every time though.
Yeah.
Because I'm leaving it there for months. you
Yeah.
know.
So did you have the risk of, was it autolysis or whatever is that
Autolysis.
Autolysis, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have that. You're as far as switching to secondary as well on the homebrew scale, it's a lot harder to purge your second tank.
Yeah.
And so what we talked about at the beginning of this about oxygen light? Well, just inherently on the homebrew scale, oftentimes it's really, really hard to purge a tank of CO2. It's not really, CO2 is heavier than air, but do you have a way to make sure that it's actually purged well? Are you going to stick a hose down there long enough? Do you have CO2? And a lot of homebrewers don't have those things, especially if you're bottling or something. You don't have the option to do that.
Yeah.
So you're spending a lot of extra effort for a lot of risk, unless you really have good control over it.
And when you do purge, it compounds on itself. So the first time you're purging out 50% of the oxygen. The second time you're purging it, you've got 75% out, and the next time you're at 90%, and the next time you're at 95%. So 5-6 different purges, vent completely out, and you'll be fine. I have never had a homebrewed beer, that was oxygenated to the point where I could taste it. Just you'll see all kinds of forum debates out there saying, okay, you have to do a pressurized transfer, and you have to do this, and you have to do that. Yeah, I call BS. I've been doing this for 16 years, and if you can taste oxygen in my beer, I'll give you a $100 bill. But you better be able to prove it.
There's some super taster out there that they just
I call BS.
he's watching the show.
I call BS. That's one of the reasons why I don't participate on forums anymore, because there's just too many experts out there, and they're couch potatoes that don't have the real experience. Am I wrong, Bobby?
I mean, people can make it very complicated.
People can make it very complicated.
And are those things bad? No, they're good things to do. But is it required? Likely not.
But for Bobby's case, absolutely. Yeah. Bobby's got equipment where he can test down to the nth degree on oxygen. I mean, I went in there and we had a deep discussion on oxygenation and beer, and healthy respect,
Also go pull your old physics book or chemistry book out. PV equals nRT using ideal gas law.
Yeah.
And what happens? So there's basically you can do the math and you'll see that there's almost no oxygen molecules around anyway. From a perspective of, so the big thing in the brewing in our industry, especially for the guys making these highly hoppy beers, is completely purging a bright tank of CO2. Now, if there's any professional brewers out there, they're about to flame me. But basically, if you look at it, if you fill a tank to 15 pounds of pressure with pure CO2 when it just was at atmospheric pressure with air, you have very few oxygen molecules around at that point, just because you think air is 72% nitrogen anyway.
Right.
It's only 21% oxygen, so you've diluted the amount of oxygen down there. If you are capable of keeping a CO2 blanket, because it's heavier than air, via a carb stone or something, as you fill a bright tank, all the residual will be coming out of your blow-off as you're filling up the tank, and then you're going to carb immediately. So you always keep a blanket of pure CO2 over the beer. The next argument is the number of dissolved oxygen molecules on a stainless steel surface. Now, this is something where, being a surface scientist and a PhD in surface science, I can tell you there are very few O2 molecules absorbed to the surface of stainless steel.
Yeah.
At least that are free oxygen molecules that will actually react with substances in your product. So the amount of CO2 wasted to completely purge a tank to make it pure CO2 is small. Now, when you're racking to a secondary in the homebrew scale, you're not going to be doing those things. You're not going to continuously be purging with CO2, so it's a little bit more of a tricky business. In my instance, I'm going to go immediately into carving the beer, so I'm constantly blowing CO2 through the product, and it will be turning it over, and there's not enough oxygen molecules there to react out. It's just the math doesn't support it. Of course, if any of them are out there, they're probably saying, this guy's full of shit. If I don't do that, my beer's going to oxidize. Are you sure? Have you run the numbers? I promise there's not enough oxygen molecules there where you should be concerned, especially with the physical way that you carve a beer and fill up a tank. It just doesn't make sense. CO2 is heavier than oxygen or nitrogen or air, and as long as that's always a blanket on top of what's coming out of your stack. So now if you're going to fill a tank halfway, you need to be a lot more careful because now you have a much larger volume where now you're starting to talk about enough oxygen molecules to matter. But if you're going to fill that tank up with maybe an inch or two of headspace, not an issue.
Yeah. Did you get that, Kennedy?
I got lost a long time ago.
You just got some knowledge dropped on you, man.
Well,
It's best not to.
I think it kind of
too hard
relates
about
to the other day. So after I bottled my last batch, I bottled all my beer, had it on the counter, took a picture of it, and I Instagrammed it. Well, James from Whole Food Brewing immediately like responded to me. He's like, bro, you need to put the beer in the bottle, and immediately put the cap on. So I had like 52 beers sitting there with no caps on it, and he basically called me out on that. So I think that's kind of.
It's not great, but you know you didn't fill it pre-carb, right? It's going to carb in the bottle.
Yeah, that's right.
So it'll always inherently we expect there to be oxygen. Otherwise, the reaction with eating the residual sugar to make the carbonation wouldn't happen. So hopefully you're all right. But it's been a long time since I've used
That kind of scrubs it out, right?
I mean,
Well, it consumes the yeast consume
right.
it to make the CO2.
I mean, that's what I've done with every beer that I've bottled so far.
So that's where he's right. It'd be best to cap it right away, but is it going to hurt it? Probably not, because it should be about that much in the neck headspace.
Yeah,
it's not going to hurt it too much.
Well, things are about
But
to
he's
pick
not
up
wrong.
because Preston just walked over here with his mittens, and
it's
Are
party
they,
now.
Are they kitten mittens?
I hope so. It's
Oh, we're
party.
making a
he's
quiet.
going to be
cat.
purring.
All right.
What are we doing? Oh,
I don't know.
are y'all either
I don't even know.
about to duel?
Yes.
Oh, Bob, if you
What,
want
final?
to, if you want to stick that into your
keep it in your
pocket,
pocket.
This, yeah.
yeah, just put that
No,
in
leave
your
it,
front
leave it
pocket.
connected.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not going to make it
Yeah.
to the back.
Yeah, we are, but I want to get this on the film.
Oh.
A collaboration, you and I collaborating on this beer.
Da-da-dum. We needed some music, like a score. We need like a live orchestra to score this show as well.
Somebody get
that would be
Peter
next
Jackson.
level.
Thomas just said Bobby's preaching to the 5% that actually get it. And
Listen,
I'm definitely one of
I'm
the
not a
nine-
5%er.
I'm definitely.
He's a
one
1%er.
I'm definitely a 95%er there.
I
Yep.
I think I followed just the math. Basically, it was, stainless
Okay.
steel. You're all on oxygen. You're good. Math.
go to the back.
Boom.
I got to go to the back, put this on. So I'll be right back, guys.
Okay.
All right.
Here we go. So
You got
we're
it.
all. You're gonna wheel it. Look at this. Can we?
It's
I wish
really
we Can we
cool.
take that? Say bye bye beer. We'll see you. Our. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we? This is where we need our drone. We need our brewing drone.
We good. We're good.
That's next step.
Bye bye
There
beer.
Bye-bye,
goes the robot
beer.
trash can.
Bye bye.
Look at that. That's another pro tip right there.
Yeah.
Put it on casters.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
That is a good one.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have to pick the whole thing up anyway, or move it, if you can't, a lot of times they like to brew out here, but all this water's in the back,
yeah,
so you can't always have everything perfect, and that's
Yeah.
okay. You just move it.
yeah. Casters. That's what my whole keys are. I'm putting on casters, so I can wheel it outside when I have a party or whatever.
That thing's big.
I know. That's why I'm gonna get the big casters, the big rubber.
You need to get the ones that go on the bottom of gurneys.
Yes.
You can buy those. Those wheel awesome.
Yeah, I'm getting the squishy rubber like off-road casters.
Oh.
So I just need a long extension cord, and then we'll be good to go. Let's see. Bobby, we had a question.
We did from Brian.
Yeah, Brian wanted to know any new brew at the Pew this weekend.
Yeah, we're going to post about it tomorrow. So we have Perrin, our oatmeal stout, coming back for a reappearance. So that we did that a little while back. So I've redone it, and so it's getting ready to reappear tomorrow night. It's all carved up, but I don't want to keg it till tomorrow. So it won't be on tonight. It'll be on tomorrow.
Okay.
And then we have Tanuki 6, our rotating IPA series. It's a smash mosaic beer. So Pilsner malt, mosaic hops. My house yeast for ales is WLP 090 or San Diego Super.
Okay.
So fermented with that, and so it will be kegged again tomorrow. And then so both of them will be on tap tomorrow night.
Do you have a favorite base malt?
It depends what I'm making. Any of my German beers, of course, Pilsner. I use Rar Pils. It's from Brewer Supply Group. Great Pilsner malt, really. I love my German grains like Weirmann, but it does a great job for a Pilsner malt. And for my ales, I love Chris Meresauter, really nice base malt. So depending on what you're making, because you're not going to make a Pilsner with Meresauter, it just doesn't make sense, too biscuity.
Right.
And so those are the two I like a lot.
Okay. Did you get that, Kennedy?
Sorta.
Okay.
I'm learning.
They're malts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just use them and see what happens, right?
Chew on them. Yeah, just chew on them. If it tastes good and you think it, it's just like cooking. You might like pepper, but is a whole bunch of pepper really good? No.
Yeah.
You need a little bit of pepper sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need a lot of pepper.
Is that okay? Is that a ringtone?
Jeffrey wants to know if you've made a Brut IPA.
I have not, and I probably will not. I'm just not a huge fan of them. I think what are you doing? You're just killing all of your residual body. So keep in mind that if you've ever had hot pulse, you know that I keep a decent amount of malt backbone in my products. I think it helps balance out the amount of hoppiness that's there. So the Brut IPA is kind of the counter, just completely counter to that, being so brilliant in terms of carbonation, as well as you're losing that malt backbone to balance. If you're going to throw that many hops into it, I want it to be on the palate long enough that you get to enjoy them. And so if you take all that away, you've got hops, they're on the palate, they're off the palate, so you just paid a whole lot for a whole lot of hops that you didn't get to enjoy very long. So that's why I don't do one. I mean, people have asked us, you're not the first person to do one. We still might, but a lot of them that I've had so far taste like a sort of West Coast style IPA. And other ones do not. So I think it's still a style that's not necessarily determined as to what it is. Obviously, it's going to be highly attenuated, so it's not going to have a lot of body. And it's going to have, it looks like a lot of guys are choosing to hop them with, a lot of those fruity hops, so stuff from New Zealand. So the Motuekas, the Waiitis, the Rakows, Citra, Mosaic, all those kind of hops. So there's nothing against it. When I'm brewing on the pilot and things like that, I kind of wait for something to either get exciting to me, or I look around at what I've got and I kind of just come up with something. So the Tanuki 6 actually I was going through my hop inventory before the end of last year, and I realized I had a bunch of Mosaic still. And I said, oh crap, and I hate Mosaic. So I said, well, let's do a Mosaic smash beer. And so came in, brewed it. And so, and it's, a lot of people love Mosaic. It's just not my favorite hop. So, it's just sometimes fun stuff like that happens. Other times I'm really in the mood to do one, and the Brut just I haven't ever made a Brut IPA recipe where I'm like excited to brew it. I'd be brewing it just to do it, and what's the point in that when there's a lot of other cool beers to brew?
Yeah.
One day it might happen. I may be like, now I've got it. Like I smell a new hop. I say that'd be perfect for something like that, but I just haven't gotten there yet.
I feel like maybe like with the black IPA, maybe it was ahead of its time. Like I don't know if there's some maybe there's some piece of that puzzle or whatever, or the little element that may come in and people are like, oh, okay, here we go.
Well, it has to do with what the market's looking for, what people are drinking at the time, what the palate is. For instance, the the Cascadian Dark Ale kind of had its run, had about a year, and sadly it went away. There's been several others. They tried a brown IPA that didn't even have as much clout as the black IPA. It's just kind of like dirty water IPA.
Yeah,
didn't really work. The New England style IPA grabbed hold and is not letting go.
Yeah.
And so that one looks to be here to stay. The Belgian IPA that had a little run, but I mean all the fruity esters and stuff thrown off by the Belgian yeast I think really killed the hoppiness. So that didn't really stick around much. Every now and then you'll see one, but it's not common. And so the Brut is it's such a new style that you don't know what it's going to do yet. I think in Houston it will likely be around quite a bit just because it is so light and easy to drink. And when it's hot as hell in the middle of summer, it really fits the bill of nice and bright and light, but also gives me the hoppiness. So I think it's not going to go away, but time will tell. People decide with what they pick.
What do you? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, Brut IPAs mix well with orange juice.
Well, I mean, you could use them that way as well, I suppose.
We had that last week at Southern Star.
Yeah, that's right. I saw that. I forgot about that.
What do you think, Brut IPA versus IPLs?
Oh, they're very different because the Brut IPA, the only thing that's brewed about them is the fact they attenuate fully because of the use of an enzyme that helps break down those sugars and the highly fermentable sugars. And IPL, those get to be tricky. You're using a lager yeast, which is inherently different than the typical Saccharomyces yeast that you're using for an ale. So the types of flavors you're going to throw off are going to be different. I found that when you're using those kinds of yeasts, or like even when we just did the collaboration with Nobi, you don't get as much roundness in it like you'll get from an ale yeast, which is what makes lagers. They have a crispness to them, which can be pleasant. So you could probably use them in a Brut and be happy. I've heard of some guys using champagne yeast in brewed IPAs, but that's going to be a considerably different animal. So be careful if you're deciding to do that with your brewed IPA, because that yeast is going to act and perform differently than a typical ale yeast if that's all you've made. So just do your reading, make sure you know what you're getting into. And so you got to think about what your flavor contributions are, because that's yeast doesn't just eat sugar and produce. I say that jokingly, because that is at the big scale what they do. They eat sugar, pee ethanol, fart CO2, but they have the tendency to throw off a lot of other flavor. If I made the same wort, same hop, same everything, and used 2 different even Saccharomyces ale strains, I can get varyingly different flavors at the same temperature. So they are what make beer. And so to switch over to wine yeast or champagne yeast, you're looking at a lot of different flavor formations. So how you age that will probably be different. How you're going to ferment it, what's important with it, all those things are going to change. And I haven't made wine. I'm familiar with the strains, so Preston can talk more about why those yeast are going to act different and why you have to treat them differently for overall long-term flavor development. But it's important. It really matters.
Yeah.
So I walk away for a total of about 7 to 8 minutes, and we're going down the brewed IPA path.
So somebody asked us
Somebody
if I
asked a
would make a brewed
question.
IPA.
Oh, good Lord. The only good brewed IPA that I've had was a homebrew, and he basically made a saison and added some glucoamylase to it. So it was literally a dried out saison. That's the only good brewed IPA. This whole brewed IPA is not my bag.
So there are other
Period.
opinions on it.
Holy smoke. Holy smoke.
I like that people are opinionated about it.
Yeah,
I
no,
like a heated
not
debate on
my
something
thing.
that it's like,
Not my thing.
let's get drunk while we debate this.
So
Well,
what-
I mean,
look what I just brought in.
I know, it's
Yeah.
your
Hey,
beer.
everybody.
That's
This
our-
is your beer.
That's our
This
beer.
is, there it is.
Josh. And like I said, as fast as you can
Is
pour
it
it
yeast
in,
pitched?
it's done. No, not yet.
Oh,
no.
okay. Yeah, be best to give them the.
All right, I got a
especially since
customer, guys.
Yeah.
Fine.
Especially since it's dry, it's best to take that home and then do it there. Because on the ride home, it could get happy.
Yeah.
And then you'll end up in his situation, but in your car.
Yeah. Preston won't let me pitch the yeast here.
Yeah, it's a bad idea.
Especially
Especially Hef. Hef is
well-
going to go crazy.
Yeah, and it's also you're driving around with a huge container of
yeah.
beer in your car.
Yeah, it's it's funny. Sometimes after those, I know people have gotten too afraid because it'll make your car smell very brewery-like. And
Yeah.
if you get stopped by a cop, guess what's likely to happen? He's going to start asking you, "Have you been drinking?" And that's like some days when I get there have been accidents where I've been covered in beer, and so I was like, man, if I get stopped, there's no way a cop's going to believe that I wasn't drinking beer today because I smell like beer. I should. I've dried all over me. So. Just sometimes there are the inherent hazards that aren't really hazards of the industry, but that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Another question: when can we expect the next Canto series?
Hopefully it'll be ready by our anniversary party on April 6th. So it's going to be our first third anniversary party because we've never had an anniversary party, but we're going to have one. So, we did have other anniversary parties, but I think everybody got too drunk to remember them. So that hopefully Canto 3 will be out then. And Canto 3 will be different than Cantos 1 and 2. Cantos 1 and 2 are our Active Blower Imperial Milk Stout aged in Booker's bourbon barrels for a year. That was number one. Number two also had the added benefit of a coconut cream pie shot.
Oh.
Canto 3 will be a new beer. It's actually been on the wall. It's called Sweet Destruction. It's an Imperial Brown Ale, so it's Sweet Destruction at about 9% plus lactose sugar for a little bit of the sweetness. Turns out it makes it taste a lot more like a mocha, so really nice. We put those in the same Booker's bourbon barrels that we had Cantos 1 and 2 in, and we added roughly 3 pounds of Tejas chocolate craftery cocoa nibs per barrel.
There you go.
So those went in September, and so I've tried it a few times. It's really turning out well. Because these weren't fresh barrels from Booker's like the first time, they're reused barrels, there's not as much flavor development to happen. We needed the full year on Cantos 1 and 2 just because there was some residual spirit in there, which I left, and that's pretty bitey, and it mellowed out by the end.
Okay.
With this time, being that we don't have that spirit, it's not as bitey, so you get a lot less impact of flavor, so it's not as bourbony, not as whiskey-like. You get a lot more of the oak more than anything. And then, of course, you get that dark, deep, really dark chocolate from the cocoa nibs. So I'm hoping it will be ready by the anniversary party, but I'm not sure. It's barrel aging is one of those. Whenever I pull a sample and say that's it, that's when we'll package it. But I'm hoping for that.
Have you, Kennedy? Have you been to Tejas Chocolate and Barbecue and they're in Tomball?
No.
Oh,
It's supposed to be fantastic. I've never eaten there. I just got cocoa nibs from
dude, they're Ooh, that's that. When you say that, to go there and try their barbecue, and then all their just their
Hold on.
chocolate is just.
They do barbecue and chocolate?
Yeah, they're a chocolate craftery and a barbecue place.
It's in both.
Man.
They're one of the top barbecue. Like Texas Monthly, they were in the
Yes.
top 10, top 5.
Top 5, I think, and it's
And this is in Tomball? What's the name
Yeah.
of this place again?
Chaos
Tejas.
Chocolate Craftery.
Yes, it's
And it's you got to be careful. It runs out. I think they only serve really for
Yes.
lunch because they're out of barbecue. By
yeah,
then.
by like 1:30.
Yeah.
So
This is
it's
two of my most favorite things.
it's a ridiculous place, and they have a really good beer selection. They've got back. I believe the last time I was there, they had back pew
Yeah, they
cans.
as far as I know, they only do cans. As far as I
Yeah.
know, and so I think they keep it stocked on a regular basis.
Yeah, if the weather would ever clear up at all, and it wouldn't be a,
Yeah, that
Fog.
would be great.
yeah, you can go sit outside, have a barbecue sandwich, a little sliced brisket, burn ends if you want, whatever, and then a nice beer, and and some.
Pretty nice.
Yeah. So, and that's gonna, that sounds awesome.
There's some chocolate for dessert.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, you can do that. I mean, they've got it's like
I've
that.
never heard of this place.
I don't know.
Wow.
You've been spending too much time with Jules. Hey, Jules. You never said hey, so I didn't say.
I did say, hey, Jules.
You did in the comments, but I want
Yeah.
to say hi to your girl
Mhm.
before you did. Hey, Jules, how you doing?
Yeah.
How are things with you guys? Good?
Yeah, we're good.
Is the date set yet?
Put him on the spot, man. That's right.
It's every
He,
time.
he does this literally every show.
I mean,
Every show.
I want you to enjoy life like I have.
Oh, so if you really do, you really want to know about this?
yeah.
because-
no, sure. Well, I mean, if there's something to be said, sure.
Because our parents are meeting here in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, so let me tell you, this was
Yeah.
when my wife and I got engaged. It was because my parents were in town, and Kelly's parents were in town here in Houston. And none of them lived in Houston. They were all at Kelly's aunt's house. And everybody got together, went to a big dinner, and that's where I popped the question. She didn't realize it was coming. Right after dinner, she went into the bathroom. It didn't sit well with her, and so she came out, and then boom! I'm like, everybody's standing around because they knew it was coming. She's like, "What?" I'm like, "Hey," down on one knee. Of course, she said yes, but that was our story. So is that
Did you have the ring inside like a piece of chocolate cake?
No.
or something like that?
It was actually the ring that I ordered was not ready yet. So I used a ring that was her grandmother's
Uh-huh.
to pop the question, and so she
Well,
wore
she
that.
had to have known it was coming.
Well, I mean, we had talked about it, but she didn't know it was right then.
Yeah, but she gave you
The
the
parents
ring.
knew though. 'cause
Yeah,
otherwise the
everybody
ring would
knew
be
it was because
difficult.
everybody's. So basically,
Or he
everybody
was really slick and
stood
stolen, I
up
don't know.
ready
What,
to
what
take
would you have done
pictures.
if like her dad said no? Oh,
Well, I talked to him beforehand.
all right.
That's what I did. I sat down.
Old
with-
school, ask him for permission.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you've met him, you'd know why. He's still head of security at the Austin airport.
Oh,
So he's yeah.
He already run the background checks on it.
Yes.
So he was, okay.
He was like, yeah, I've run the we'll allow this for now.
he's like you passed.
But know that I do have some flags on you.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. You could be pulled over at any moment.
He do though.
He didn't have to do that.
Oh.
That's cliche. He just looked at me. I'm like, I understand. I knew where I stood, but it's worked out, so it's all good. So your parents are meeting.
Yeah, my parents are coming in next week.
from Spain?
Yeah,
Okay.
and then her parents are coming in like the following
Where
week.
they're in Florida?
Florida, Orlando.
Okay.
So there's going to be like about a 3 or 4 day overlap.
Do her parents drink beer?
I think her dad does.
Do y'all do weddings out at Backview?
We do.
Yeah.
We've had
it
two.
is a church.
It is a church.
Bring your own preacher. BYOP.
Yeah.
Do we know anybody that's ordained?
My father.
Would he do it?
That's convenient.
Yeah, that is pretty convenient. You could probably get a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
You can go online and get ordained pretty easily.
I was going to say, I'll get ordained if you'll let me do it.
No, I'm not going to let you.
We could do it right here live on Liquid Lunch.
Oh, that's good.
From the grain cellar.
No.
Yeah, the
What-
grain
hold
cellar.
on.
This is snowballing.
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
yeah.
she's writing all these ideas down.
Yeah,
They're
and she's like,
brilliant.
nope.
No.
So, do you think?
Oh, they're going to get along fine.
I know, but I'm saying, is there going to be extracurriculars after that?
Wait, what?
You're going to ask her. You're going to pop the question. She's not
No,
watching anymore.
what?
See? No, she's not even there. Is that something you have to discuss, though? People want to know.
No, I avoid it.
Why?
I don't know. I just do.
That doesn't make any sense.
Oh, Rudy said.
Change the subject as fast.
Rudy's volunteering the homebrewed brass.
Yeah, they play weddings.
Yeah.
That would be perfect.
Oh, speaking of Rudy.
Beautiful spring day out at Back Pew
Yeah.
in
Speaking
Porter,
of
Texas.
Rudy,
Huh?
he He bought me a beer at Southern Yankee.
I know he did.
Yeah.
Kennedy, old man.
Trying to change the subject
Chris
here.
Why nervous? Why get nervous?
I think there's actually an event for Rudy's birthday this weekend at the Hop Stop,
Yeah.
or sometime soon.
Yeah.
There's
It's Rudy
Fest.
Palooza.
Rudy Palooza.
Yeah,
That's
Rudy
what it is.
Palooza. Everybody go check out Rudy Palooza. Yeah,
Yeah, Rudy Palooza.
Hop Stop. Just right out. We're like 2 minutes away from there.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Rick
you're-
and Don should be sitting there watching this show right now.
Yeah.
Waiting on one of you to come over and have a beer afterwards. I
Well,
would go. But
I've
I'm
got to
doing
go to.
salsa.
Yeah, I've got to go to work. But Kennedy,
Yeah, you got stuff.
have you ever been to the Hop Stop?
I haven't.
You're missing out.
You are. It's a great place.
Yeah.
one of my-
Whenever I'm in Humble, I'm,
Here?
I'm here.
But you can't stay
At-
here
at
all day.
Backview. Well, I stay here a long time.
You can burn some hours in a homebrew shop for sure.
Oh man, yeah, yeah, like
Where at Hop Stop? The Shoots? Okay, the Shoots take over. Black Butte Porter. What else? Mirror Lake. Mirror. Yeah.
But hey guys, just because I'm gonna have to go here in a minute, just
Yes,
want to
sir.
know, is there any other questions or anything that just maybe we can address here before I head out?
Well, okay. So you got your anniversary party coming up. What
Yep.
else going on at it?
So
Back
our
Butte?
first concert. So we have bands every Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
but our first concert for the concert series, where we have a tribute band and everything come in, is going to happen on March 22nd. We're starting off with a Leonard Skinner tribute, so that should be really fun.
I got to introduce
38
38 Special that opened up for Leonard
rad.
Skinner way back in the day.
Very
man.
cool.
Hey guys.
What's going on, guys? But anyway, so that's really fun. So we have that coming up. We have quite a few things coming up. Definitely hit up our event calendar. A lot of daisy chain events happening.
Yeah.
But at the brewery, we always have a band Saturdays, food trucks Fridays and Saturdays. But that first concert, and then of course that following Saturday or that Friday, March 22nd for the Leonard Skinner band is going to be fun.
Okay.
And April 6th is the anniversary party, so we'll have a lot of beers on then.
Awesome. April 6th.
the word's out. He just got really busy.
I know, right? This is it's Thursday and close. It's just after lunch. Everybody's
Yeah.
swinging through. Like the weekend started, right?
Yeah,
Isn't this a holiday weekend?
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah, because it's Texas Independence Day on Saturday.
Boom.
yeah.
There you go. Texas Independence Day. Then the next weekend is I don't know. And then there's St. Patrick's Day. And then there's when's Fat Tuesday? Isn't that coming in that next week or something?
Is it Tuesday?
Just
Is it this
I think
Tuesday?
it's Tuesday.
So this weekend. So you got to do Texas Independence and Mardi Gras celebrations.
Yep.
So
Got to do all your sinning this weekend.
yes, get it in. And then
And then we're also not far from St. Patty's Day.
that's what I
Yeah.
said. That's the 17th.
You did say that.
Yeah,
One
I
of the
did say
biggest jokes
Yeah.
in the world is St. Patty's Day is in the middle of Lent.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's always funny.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
The Catholics are like, this is getting tough. We should have a big party. And they
Yes.
did. And it worked out.
Man, we made it a week. That's pretty good, right?
Yeah, we should reward ourselves. I think that's a good idea.
All right. Well, everybody check out Back Pew. Go to Back Pew if you
Yes.
and then of course look for the beers all everywhere packaged in cans, the awesome cans.
Yeah, last time I was at Back Pew, I went with Julie, and we missed you.
Oh, sorry, man. I'm rarely
Sorry.
not there.
Yeah, I know. So,
You found one of the elusive times that I was, I
Well,
don't know. I may have been sleeping.
Is Blue Testament the perfect crawfish beer?
It
I
works
would-
pretty well.
I would say yes.
It works pretty well.
Yeah, we're smack dab in crawfish season. too.
Everything that it really pairs nicely. It helps
Yeah.
quench those flames.
Yes.
Blue Testament is like one of the beers that I take to my buddies that drink strictly like Millers and BLs.
Yeah.
Well,
That's the one I
bring it to my house too.
I'm
I'll
like,
drink the shit
hey,
out of
why
it.
don't you guys try this one?
It helps. I mean, it's a way to
Yeah.
get them to think about beer in a different way. It's close enough that they're familiar, but far enough away that it's not too scary.
Yeah.
Starting them off on a West Coast style double is not a good idea. Usually, you get some repulsion a little bit.
Yeah.
And they're not super stoked about that. But,
Yeah.
Well, guys, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. It's been
Yes.
fun.
Bobby, thank you so
thanks
much.
for pulling me. Sorry I couldn't stay the whole show.
No,
but,
no. This
No,
was great.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked.
You,
too,
you
though.
made most of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just stoked to get the rest of that installed. I got fire up a brand new compressor.
Go-
To
go-
most people, that might not be the most fun thing in the world, but to me, that's a pretty big day.
No, go get it, man. Thank you so much
Awesome,
for
guys.
being
Thank
here.
you all.
You're a busy man. We appreciate your time.
Oh, anytime, man.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Bobby Harl,
Commodore.
the Commodore.
Yeah.
Yes, he's got his own fleet.
Yeah.
Back Pew Brewing. You need the hat, the big hat. Okay, I stuck my hand out and he was going the other way.
Yeah.
That's now this is me waving. This is me stretching now to play it off. This is me stretching.
Well, that was cool.
No, dude, seriously. Like Rudy mentioned earlier, how much brewing knowledge we just had. We went from
I think that was like the most brewing knowledge we've ever had on the show.
We went from
There was a lot.
we
there.
slammed
I
all the
got
brakes of brewing
so-
knowledge.
I was so lost.
So yeah, Tom Preston's over there. He's actually working, so I'll give you the hell yeah. I know it's not as good. Danny, yes, it is. It's like you go to beer school. I feel like my brain got bigger, smarter, more robust.
You feel like you're smarter now?
A little bit.
All right.
A little bit. We had some Southern Yankee beer. At least I did my second glass. You had yours, the
I had the
juice
first.
pop.
The
The
juice
juice
pop,
pop.
I've had it before.
Delicious IPA
Yeah.
from our friends at Southern Yankee as well. Right there, just not far from here, just down 1960 between 45 and Hardy.
Yeah.
So if you're in that area, if you're at the Grain Cellar and you're heading back west, right?
Yep. Oh, something that
Good place to stop off.
we need to mention.
Please.
I wanted to mention this. So just recently, James from Whole Food Brewing,
James Carlisle.
James Carlisle, not James Simpson, James Carlisle,
Yes.
and Baleson Brewing,
Yes, Sarah.
Sarah, had a collaboration.
Yes.
And they brewed a West Coast IPA that they're releasing today at Whole Foods.
Today, do we know at like 6 o'clock or something? Right?
It was
5 or
at
6?
actually it was at 11, so it's technically already released.
So people could be potentially enjoying that beer right now,
right now.
as we're having this show.
Yes, go to Whole Food. I don't know if they have
Post
it.
Oak.
Yeah, Whole Food on Post Oak, and get yourself the Baleson.
Some of the
Whole
best
Food
people
Brewing.
watching. I always say like the Renfest, but then like Post Oak. Post Oak has the best cars. Like you'll see people drive up in like, $250,000 cars because it's right there in the Galleria.
Oh yeah, of course.
And great beer selection. But then James Carlisle is he's good people. He's one of my favorite people of all time. And his beer is fabulous. It's on point. And you need to go there and try that beer that he and Sarah brewed up. What's up? Can we not
My
switch?
computer just died.
So we can't switch this
Oh,
shot?
wait,
It's just
there we-
us?
No, we can switch the shot. I don't.
You just have to reach over?
No, this was.
Give
this
the
was-
old...
this- oh, there we go. This was just my monitoring computer.
Okay.
I'm good.
No, we're all good.
My good computer keeps us on air.
Okay.
Yeah, Jeffrey said Bobby needs a brewing podcast.
Yeah, I would listen to Bobby's podcast.
Oh,
Every
man.
time he's on
Yeah.
Interbrews or he's on this show, it's like,
Well, he's definitely on a whole nother level than me when it comes to
dude,
brewing.
he's in a different
Yeah.
universe. He's amazing. He's absolutely amazing. He's got so much knowledge and expertise, and he doesn't hold any of it back. That's the coolest part about it. Is he will let you know. So yeah, don't forget your coffee cup. That's the worst.
It's the worst ever. Thanks, guys.
Cool.
Good to see y'all.
Thank you, Bobby.
Yep, have a good one.
All right. See you later.
Home.
All right, we'll do. Bobby Harl.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I always like talking with Bobby.
Yes, Brian. St. Patrick's Day is when we celebrate St. Patrick. I don't know exactly what St. Patrick's Day is for. Snakes or something? There's something about snakes and green. I don't know.
I don't know. To me, it's just an excuse to drink.
Yeah, but don't drink green beer. There's too many good like Irish Reds and dry stout, Irish
We
stouts, and
we had
Oh,
green
no,
beer in our show before.
green beer.
Yeah.
What did we have?
I just put green food coloring in beer.
Oh yeah. See, that's all that is, man.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Drink a stout. Drink an Irish style.
Yeah.
You know what? Even better, brew an Irish style, right?
Yeah.
Irish red ale, dry Irish stout, Irish. So what others? Are there any other Irish?
I don't know. So Julie's her favorite beer is the Irish Reds, and her favorite is 11 Below.
Yes,
They make a really good Irish. It's not really my favorite style,
I love that beer though.
but oh yeah.
What is the name of that beer?
It's
It is
Dublin Me Luck.
Dublin Me Luck,
Yeah.
and then they've also got Weeby Pubbin is their
Yeah.
dry Irish stout.
Yeah.
And they're gonna have both. Okay, so here on 1960, we're on 1960. We're a ways away,
Yeah.
right? It's way back towards town, on the other side of, actually closer to 249, so quite a ways away from here, but still 1960. They have the St. Patty's Day parade
Yeah.
right there on 1960, and then they're having a big shindig at 11 Below right after that. So on Sunday, the 17th, watch that parade and then go to 11 Below if you're over there.
Smithwick's.
Smith, was that?
Oh.
Huh? That's
Oh,
an Irish beer, right?
Oh yeah. Jeffrey wants to brew an Irish, something Irish, an Irish something.
Yeah. You know, with you can dry shamrock it. You know,
Can
post boil shamrocking.
yeah? Can you put shamrock your beer?
Yeah, absolutely.
I wonder what kind of. I guess it would make it just taste like grass.
Yeah, probably. I always like stepping on the clover though, because it's all cold on your bare feet. You ever do
Yeah.
that?
So you could do like an IPA and just put shamrocks in it or clovers in it.
Sure. I guess it probably wouldn't taste good.
Just say just say you put 4-leaf clovers.
Yeah. What else do we need to talk about before we do the old wrapperoo?
I don't know.
I'm just looking at my shot there. I'm wondering if this camera angle is good enough for me after an hour and a half or however long.
It's not. It's not the best camera angle.
All right. Happy brewing.
Hey.
Toodles. I wonder what they're brewing. I guess we'll find out.
How are we gonna find out?
We'll ask Preston
Oh,
when he's done. I mean, he's busy now.
I got some business to take care of.
You're,
Preston. Whenever it's over.
Your mic just went out again. Try pushing it down the back end. I don't know. Yeah, there you go.
Check.
That's it. It's got a little bit of.
Man, I cannot work with this equipment anymore.
Does that mean we need to wrap the show? Is lunchtime
No,
over?
it's
Yeah, you just cut out again, so you're going to.
lunchtime's over.
Okay, well I'll hold on. Let me pull up my other phone. And
I can always talk on this one.
No, I turned it down.
Okay.
Here you go. I got you now. There you're there.
I can always talk on this one.
No, talk again.
Check.
No, he unplugged it.
That's right.
No, wait, that's the wrong one.
No, you
There,
didn't.
there you go. There you go.
There we go.
Okay, there
Test.
All right. Well, I'm
How'd
gonna
you
hit.
like the lav mics?
I
know they're not the best.
No. I think we could make them work. I think if we went all lav, it's like lighting. You know, you don't want to do different brands of lights. How did you like the light on the brew?
It was
The
good.
brew lighting.
Yeah, it was good. I don't know if it. I don't know that. Honestly, the brew shot didn't really turn out like I thought it was.
Oh.
It wasn't that exciting.
What were you thinking?
I don't know.
You think it'd be more? Maybe we should have gone with a different color filter.
I thought they were going to be standing. Well, I mean, I brewed before. I know it's kind of boring.
It's not a spectator sport.
No, it's not.
It's the beer drinking is more
not,
of the.
so.
Oh, are you jumping back on?
Oh, we got Preston. Oh, we got Preston again.
Yeah. All right, I'll keep it low until he gets it.
So this mic doesn't work at all.
Now it does.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, take care.
Bye. Yes. See
Hey,
you later.
we have an open mic.
I'm fine.
Wanna sit down?
Thank you for the opportunity. But I appreciate it. Thank you. Enjoy.
Drive safe.
So-
Stay warm.
I think those guys were in last time I was here.
So Bondi is one of my regulars. He's
Yeah.
actually bottling a beer today.
What's he bottling?
He brewed a ginger beer
Oh.
with 2 pounds of ginger.
Wow. Made with
I'm
real
actually-
gingers.
With real gingers. I'm actually kind of looking forward to it. I'm not a ginger beer kind of person.
Yeah. It's if it's subtle and what?
Get on camera? Sweet.
Yeah, you get your own camera now. Now that we got old
yeah,
Bobby
so-
out of here.
I'm not really a ginger kind of person.
Yeah.
Ginger beer kind. But it smelled really good.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah. I could. Sometimes it depends. I don't
Right.
know. I've had some there. I'm like, wow, that's really good.
Right.
I don't know if I could drink a ton of it. I'm trying to.
Where did
I
leave
can't.
my beer.
I can't think of an example how you.
I left my beer somewhere.
Oh no.
Pool boy, grab my beer.
You got busy in here for a second.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Need busy.
It also got.
So what y'all think of Bobby?
Well, he's always great.
Bobby's awesome.
He's
Yeah,
he's super
Thank you,
smart.
He's super smart.
He,
It's hard for me to keep up with him. But
he goes deep.
Yeah.
That's
Balls.
of course. Of course.
Sorry.
Right there.
I'm not sorry.
Thomas says he misses
I
you.
have a
Yeah, the
beer sticker
yeah,
back
the
there.
balls
right?
deep.
Preston Thomas says he misses you.
You know, Thomas, I honestly, I haven't seen you in like 2 years now.
Goodness.
You need to come by the store, brother. Seriously.
Where's he live? Is he live in Houston?
I don't know.
We could click on his Facebook profile right now.
Yeah, Facebook profile tells
Oh.
us everything.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a question.
Oh, hold on. I gotta
Yeah.
say, hey to Fawn's watching. Hey, Fawn.
What's
So-
the question?
And Jeffrey just reminded me of this one. When's the next Rogue Brewers meeting?
So the next Rogue Brewers meeting will be Saturday the 30th. So
I thought you
the
guys
last
Friday.
Saturday of the month, we are going to do a crawfish boil and a brew day and a beer competition.
I'm a fan of the Rogue Brewers.
Yeah,
I'm a fan.
absolutely. We do quarterly competitions. I'm on the bar. I'm on the board over there.
Well, it's
Finally
your
made the board.
it's your board.
Do y'all get those
No,
big?
it's Rogue board.
No,
Well,
I'm just-
technically, I'm OG.
Do you get a sash or something, or just the name on the,
A sash. Yes.
yeah, the mayor sash.
That's right. No.
or a top hat? I feel like top hat should be.
Yeah, I finally got it on the
Monocle?
board.
Yeah.
Monocle?
I was cheated twice. You know, it just happens. You let people taste. To be quiet over there in the peanut gallery. You
Hey,
let people
hold on.
taste your beer beforehand.
We have an open mic.
You get over here. Come on. Peanut gallery's on.
I've been staring at you. And I don't
Peanut
even know
gallery's
your
on.
name.
Everybody. Oh, damn it! I almost got the butt shot. Sorry.
Just kind of clip it right there. Yeah. You got to go soon, don't you?
Well, yeah, I got
What, you
time.
working?
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh.
that's me. I don't take time off.
We're not gonna have another.
Oh, let me tell you. Kennedy, did I ever tell you the story about the time Preston came over to the house? Before there was even a studio, we just locked ourselves in that room.
I brought an ice chest.
You brought a
Full of
full of not just beer but mead, like 25% mead.
freaking killed it.
We got drunk.
And you went to work?
Yes, actually.
And then we went to go get lunch.
And we went-
And then we came back and did it again.
Yes, we did a show.
It was awesome.
It was in the middle of the summer, so this is how it worked out. We did a show where we did like an hour, and then we did a second. Like then we went and got some lunch, and it all hit me right when we were ordering. The place that place got shut down. That's how drunk we were.
Not because of us.
No, but I remember just standing there, like, and there's this little place in my neighborhood, and I was about to order a sandwich. She's like, "What would you like to eat?" And then it all just kind of hit me all at once. But like the inner dialogue in my head, I was like, "I don't know what I want to eat. I didn't give this much thought. I don't know what the answer to this question is."
And it was his
me.
recommendation. Oh, I got this great sandwich place.
Yeah. Well, the sandwich, I have to believe it was good. But anyway, then we went back, did another like hour and a half, and then I'm like, I can't make it to work. And then
Oh, you called
I-
it.
well, I called in, but then I was like, I can't. I don't think I have enough time left or whatever. So I went up and mowed the front yard. It was like 95.
Sweated it
Sweat
out. the
out.
alcohol out.
Get rid of it.
Yes, I sweated. It was like,
Purge the system.
and it was enough. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna be late, and that's back when that was a thing. And so then I just showed up. It was fine.
You're not the late. You're the guy that brought breakfast.
Yeah, I should have brought
taquitos.
taquitos. That's what I should have.
Yeah. So Kennedy, I turned the tables on Josh. I actually interviewed him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that you can still go back and find
But
that
only
one.
because one of you could talk, and it was
No. We started out the whole thing. Yeah. No. We started out. I was like, turn the tables immediately. He started in him, and I pulled the plug on him, and we interviewed
Gosh, that
Josh.
was yeah.
And because I figured, we were. I don't even remember which show I was on, what number.
Oh,
but
it's-
anyway, he had done all these shows, and nobody knew anything about Josh. So I turned the tables on him.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know that my answers are probably pretty boring. I mean, this is it.
No, I was there. Just kidding.
Nah, it was.
It was fun.
It was.
Yeah, and for the record, took almost 2 years before somebody actually outdid my.
Length.
Length?
Yeah, your
Yeah.
length was legendary.
Yeah,
That's what I've heard about you.
that's right, baby.
Rare occasions has anybody ever been lengthier than Preston.
Yeah. Your
I
length,
like to talk,
Your
I'm
length
sorry.
is legendary.
I like to talk. I'm sorry.
Anyway, so
Oh, so Brendan
Brendan.
says hi.
Oh, Matt.
Matt
Oh, Matt Shawlers. Yeah.
Schaller?
Yeah.
Shawler, if you hear me.
Yeah.
What's up, brother?
holler at Shawler. Cool.
Thanks for watching. I'm sure he's on the road. Keep your eyes on the road, not on the
Stay off
video.
your phone, man.
Yeah, Brendan, what are you doing?
Maybe he's just listening to our audio feed.
Yeah, you don't want to know that answer.
I'm just hanging out, man.
He gave
I had
me
a day.
I'm like, oh, dude, that's bad. I'm like, okay, so it could have been worse. So there's
No,
that.
I'm just hanging out. I work from home, so I got a lot of free time. So.
So Josh, Kennedy, Brendan works at the store with me. He fills in whenever I have to go hang out.
Or like
go do
when
something.
you have to go to Bailston for our 100th episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He helps out.
Yep,
Exactly.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I pay him in brewing supplies. Yeah.
Do you allow?
Handle it.
Does he allow you to give out the free hugs?
Oh yeah, I give
Okay.
free hugs all
So,
the time.
so you give out free hugs when Preston.
I'm really bad at it. But
Josh, you got the special free hug.
I
this
got the
morning.
leg hook.
Hey,
I'm sorry. I mean,
No.
I didn't.
I got the kiss
Oh.
on the back of the neck.
Wait, I didn't know that was an option.
Dang.
I've learned so much.
Every once in a while, he'll just put a little bit of lipstick right for you. If he sees you coming, leave a little mark.
So
and then you know.
apparently, Matt said he was trying to make it up here, but he got stuck in traffic.
I see his truck right out there. He's out in the parking lot.
He's eating
Don't
tacos
lie.
out in the parking lot. What are you
Right.
doing, man? You're not stuck in traffic.
I mean,
You
tacos.
just needed to put some sauce on your taco. We did we?
I mean, if you're gonna have tacos, you really, honestly, you should bring the tacos here.
Tacos. That's the
Damn it.
one drawback to tacos. They're not good road food.
It's not a good road.
I mean,
They absolutely
they
You can
are.
make it
They're-
work.
they're-
See, what you do is you drive with your knees, and then you eat a taco with another empty tortilla underneath.
Okay.
Then you
a
have a
catch.
second taco.
Then
There
you
you-
get a second.
and
It's
then
like
you
second
get there
winning.
safely because you drive.
It's like second running.
It works.
Or
It
if
works
you're-
totally.
No. The
But you have to have an
technique-
extra tortilla.
No, the
what if you're going
technique
crunchy
is-
tacos?
Your taco has to be inside of aluminum foil, and so you just
You're
I
talking
always
breakfast
eat the
tacos.
aluminum foil when I
so
do
you
that
just
kind
peel
of-
half the aluminum foil and have like a backing, so you can.
You're
start
talking
eating.
breakfast tacos. I'm talking about
Yeah.
like cheap, like Shane
Street
taco.
tacos.
I gotta take care of my customer. John's over there
All right.
complaining.
You're neglecting
I
your
had
customers.
I had shame tacos yesterday.
What are
Like,
shame
Shame
tacos?
taco- I
Taco
know
Bell?
shame
Yeah.
tacos.
Oh,
It's like, well,
That
the
is shame.
idea was, oh, I'm just going to run through Chick-fil-A real quick. It's like, oh, everybody else had the same idea at 2:00. It's like,
The
why?
only thing that's worse than shame Taco Bell tacos are shame Jack in the Box tacos.
oh,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
Jack in the Box tacos.
yeah,
Oh man, those are recession-proof tacos.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Since,
I'm surprised they cost 99 cents.
Since
I'd only pay a nickel. You know.
so since 1992,
Same,
they've been 99 cents for $2 for 2 tacos.
but fool on them. You know,
I mean,
shame on them, or well, not shame on them, but jokes on them. With inflation, you're actually paying like 50% less now.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're recession-proof. 30 years later, they're still 2 for $1.
Yeah, still overpaying.
What? Since like the early 90s, what can you tell me that's the same price other than 2 tacos from Jack in the Box?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Recession-proof tacos.
I don't know. Inflation proof. I feel like inflation proof.
Oh, so we're supposed to ask you
Uh-oh.
how to brew a beet beer.
No, don't.
Did you brew a beet beer?
So the last road competition we had for December was the dice roll, the
Ah,
mystery dice roll.
yeah.
Oh, you got beet.
I got beets and apricots. Yeah, it was
Did it turn out purple?
Too good compo.
no, it was awful.
Yeah.
Second to last. So
Was the
I can't
beer
imagine
purple
that'd
though?
be good.
no, it was terrible. What's that?
Was the beer purple?
It was so purple that your digestive system was purple
Beets?
for
Oh,
a
you-
day or two.
Yes.
Oh, so you peed purple?
No,
poop
your
it out.
digestive system.
Oh,
Listen, I did that. I was big into roasting root vegetables for about a week,
yeah.
and I was like, we'll throw some turnips in here because you do like turnips
You had
and
purple
beets
poop?
for the beets. I did
Oh.
beet and radishes
Almost
and
blood
carrots.
red.
Yes,
Oh.
I went to take a poo, look down, toilet's like I'm like, oh no,
Yeah, something is wrong.
Something
is terribly
something
wrong.
is the worst kind of wrong. Oh no! Like seriously, I had the phone in my hand about to call the doctor, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, beets.
Goddamn beets.
Yeah, damn beets." That's where the term "bad beat" came from.
Yeah.
That's a bad beat.
No, it was a decent beer. It just I used too much beet, and it ended up being super beety, vegetal.
Beet not a great flavor in and of itself.
Well, it can be used. I mean, I think one of the top 5 was a beet beer.
really?
Yeah, but beet and apricot.
But even then, in sparing, if I'd use more apricot, less beet, and just have the beet to give it like a tinge of flavor, the problem that I had is I tried to do a stout, and I tried to put enough beet so that it was like a black beer with a red foam.
Yeah.
And
So-
to get that, you got to put a lot of beets.
Yeah.
So would you say it's about time to let the beet drop?
That's about right. Yeah.
Let the beet drop.
Beets are awful.
All right. Well, speaking of
Dropping the beat.
dropping the beat,
I'm gonna
it's,
drop a beat right now.
I'm gonna drop a beat called "The Show Close." If I
Yeah.
do I have it on this phone? I don't remember if I do or not. Yeah, I do.
Sounds like a real ale.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I'm just reading the comments.
Oh.
That sounds like a real ale coffee release.
Oh, the beat. Drop the beat.
The beat drop.
Oh, let the beat drop.
Probably. Real Ale is a fine place.
Oh, the top beet beer didn't use red beets. I thought
What
all
other kind
beets
of-
are-
there's a
I thought
yellow
all
beet?
beets are red.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now where's Bobby when you need him?
Oh.
He probably has a whole like.
You think he's brewed with beets?
I doubt it.
I bet he knows about beats though.
Yeah.
Funny thing, in that competition, Bobby Harl rolled and had a beer he was supposed to brew, paid for it and everything, and because it contained glitter, he didn't brew it. Because he said earlier that he would never brew a glitter beer after the whole glitter beer phase with
Yeah.
Eureka Heights and everything.
Uh-huh.
He said he'd never do it, and then he rolls a glitter beer.
That comes, the glitter beer comes up a lot in conversation.
Glitter beer.
You know, it's one of those things. Like I think everybody that sees one, they like want to try it.
I'm kind of the same way with the brewed IPAs. Though. It's like I'm kind of interested. I
Yeah.
want to see what they taste like, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit down and brew a batch of them.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I really like the Southern Star brewed IPA.
I am brute.
Yeah,
I
it was good.
no, it was yes. It's one of those things where I think if I tried it next to a bigger bodied beer, I might be like, or like after one, especially, I might be like, maybe not so much, but on its own, like up front,
All right,
I'll do it.
Jeffrey, I will sign up for the homebrew club. The problem is, and you know this, that I usually work Friday and Saturday evenings, so I'm not able to come.
Yeah. Well, we could probably take care of that, right?
What? You gonna get me fired?
Yep.
That's not a good idea at all.
Problem solved.
Yep.
It's not a good idea at all. Well, I'm not a fan of that one.
Well, I'm just saying, there's solutions out there. I mean, maybe they need some work, but like literally,
I mean, Oh,
Preston, we got 90 seconds left.
yeah.
So
90 seconds.
Well,
now it's a
I'm-
minute 20
I mean,
for me. Y'all can figure.
Wait a minute. All right, so we're gonna. Am I on?
Yeah,
you're on.
Is this thing? Can you hear me?
This
now?
thing, yeah, this thing's on.
So wait a minute. We're gonna wrap up.
Well, I
Yeah,
got. Y'all can hang out and talk about whatever you want.
Somebody's got plans.
I got
what?
things to do.
Yeah.
Dang it, man. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys as always. Y'all rock. Y'all are rock stars. I appreciate y'all letting me be part of this.
Hey, hell yeah.
You're welcome anytime.
Yeah, this is where I say, Kennedy, thank you to the Grain Cellar for helping bring today's show. Preston is just a world's worth of information, and he's got those free hugs. And, maybe the leg hook if you're lucky. Bobby Harl from Backpew, thank you so much. Brendan, thanks, man. And Kennedy, good job today. Thanks to everybody that asked questions. Thanks to the music that's about to run out.
Thanks, Brendan, for filling in.
Yeah, man. Everybody that came into the store today.
We got to
everybody
learn
that,
all about beet beers from Brendan.
Yeah. We're
Oh,
about
good
to-
Lord.
The awfulness that
The
is.
Yeah.
beet beers, the purple poop.
You know, he says that, but we literally had a beet beer make it to the third round.
I said that.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks,
All right,
everybody. I'm going to stop the record.
I love
Bye,
you.
everybody. See you next Thursday.